That could be a factor. Hello, everyone. I'm Don Criqui with Johnny Unitas. And today, the Eagles and the Saints go into this game with 2-5 records. The Eagles have had some problems with turnovers. Their quarterback, Ron Jaworski, is playing with a broken thumb, has thrown 15 interceptions, and that's been a problem.
It has been a problem. His performance has shown it. You take a good look at his thumb. He's not throwing the ball as well as he's capable of doing. But on the other hand, their defense has been playing exceptional football. Johnson and Berge, right as you see them, fine linebackers, anchor the 3-4 defense, something that the Strams team has not seen so far this season.
Well, the two coaches here, Vermeil on the left and Hank Stram on the right, are both in their second year with their respective franchises. Both think this is a very important game. Henry says we're a contender coming off that win over Los Angeles, and he expects to win this game today. So does Vermeil.
Coach Stram has done an outstanding job with the young football team in New Orleans. A great organization, man, and it shows on field and off the field as they all treat themselves very, very well.
One area of the Saints' play that is very effective is their kicking game with Zarro, the field goal kicker, and Tom Blanchard, the leading punter.
Tom Blanchard leads the league with 42.8 yards punting. Was talked into coming out of retirement by Coach Stram this past year. Done an excellent job. Rich Zarro, of course, now has kicked the winning field goal last week.
Well, they're just about set to go. They have the ball teed up on the field, as you see. New Orleans has won the toss, and they'll be receiving to start the game. And Big Horst Muhlman has the ball teed up at the Philadelphia Eagles' 35-yard line and is all set to let it rip.
The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, are a good football team going against an offensive football team who played very, very well last week against the Los Angeles Rams, picking up 253 yards on the ground. The ball is kicked, and here we go with a football game.
Right up the field, and Upback takes the ball out to the 40, and Joe Campbell, the #1 draft choice out of Maryland, is a punt returner to lead off the football game. There's the big guy, Joe Campbell, from nearby Wilmington, Delaware. And so the Saints go on offense. They rushed for more yardage last week, did New Orleans, against the Los Angeles Rams, than any team has rushed against Los Angeles in more than 5 years. 253 yards, 5 yards a carry. So the Saints won that game, as Hank Stram says, at the line of scrimmage where you have to win. Bobby Scott is the quarterback. He sends Don Herman in motion on 1st and 10. Here's the pitch back. Galbraith runs with the ball and gets net head on by the guy you were talking about earlier, Johnny, Big Charlie Johnson, the rookie middle guard. He's a football player.
Outstanding football player. And the whole defensive football team of Philadelphia is outstanding. They've done an excellent job. Have kept the offensive football team of the Eagles in the ball game most all season long.
So now, after the hard hit put on by Charlie Johnson, it is a 2nd down and 8 coming up for New Orleans. Scott, with the quick timing pattern, puts it in the flat, gets his man, John Gilliam. And Gilliam will step out of bounds at about the 48-yard line of Philadelphia, very nearly an interception. Herman Edwards, young rookie cornerback from San Diego State, was covering on the play and actually had a move on the football.
Outstanding pass by Scott over to Gilliam. Gilliam made the good reception. The ball could have gone either way. The ball just got underneath the arm of Edwards, number 46, and the New Orleans Saints are continuing where they left off last week.
Henry Childs is the Saints tight end. Gilliam is one wide receiver. Herman is the other. It is 1st and 10 now for the Saints. A pitch back goes to Chuck Muncie, and Muncie's going to be knocked down for a loss. Chuck Muncie, the 4th leading rusher in the NFC with a 4.4 yard per carry average. Johnson got him again.
That must have been a mix-up on his play. As you see, the ball is going to be snapped, and Galbraith just stood right there in the backfield, did not move. I think that he felt the ball was to be snapped on a later count than it was, and he was not any help at all to Muncie on that play.
In his last 2 games, Chuck Muncie has averaged 6.5 yards a carry. He was knocked down, though, for a loss on that play, so we have 2nd and long yardage coming up now for New Orleans. The ball back to the Saints, 47. 16 yards to go for the 1st down. The pitch back to Galbraith. Penalty markers go down. And a fired-up Eagle defense again shuts down the run. Berge led the charge along with Drew Mahalik. And so, let's see what these markers are all about.
The New Orleans Saints last week against the Los Angeles Rams were able to sweep either side of the line at will, and they're trying to do that this afternoon against
78. Holding.
Philadelphia Eagles, who so far have not had much success.
85. Offense.
Offsetting penalties there. So we're going to run the play over. It'll be 2nd down and 16 once again from the 47-yard line of New Orleans. We're in the opening quarter of play. There is no score on the board. The Saints took the opening kickoff, and they now have the ball, got a first down. They went to the pass to John Gilliam. But now successive running plays have knocked them back to a degree. The Eagle defense very tough against the run, and that has been the Saints' strong suit on offense. So we'll see how that match-out comes out. There in the game might be decided. Saints' ability to move the football against a good defense against the run. Scott, deep drop. Here's the rush, and Bobby Scott knocked out. Bunting came and got him. 95. Berge was on the blitz. The Eagles blitz linebackers on almost every play.
The Eagles so far have recorded 11 sacks now over the last 2 ball games. That's against Dallas and Washington. That's a total now of 24. This one makes 25. And all last season, the Eagles sacked the opposing quarterback only 19 times. So you can see the great improvement in the Eagle defensive football team.
That is a big factor. That is their 25th sack of the season. And this is just the 8th game. They got Washington quarterbacks 5 times last week. The Eagles have had problems with turnovers, though. They have turned the ball over 27 times this season and taken back only 11. So there's a big disparity there. On the giveaway-takeaway ratio, they're down 16. That's been the difference in all their football games. In fact, the only team that's turned the ball over more is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Turned it over 32 times. What's our problem here, Johnny U?
Well, we have a defensive football team on the sideline talking to their coach, and the officials are gathered out in the middle of the field talking to the captain of the Saints team, deciding what's going on. We have not received any information so far, but it's 3rd down, and it must be around 30 yards, so I don't know what you do in 3rd and 30, but maybe try to run something and kick it, come out smelling like a rose somewhere.
There's Dick Vermeil getting the whole thing explained to him. 29 will resume play when they have the ball spotted. It's all the way back to the New Orleans 34-yard line. Saints had advanced it down to the 48-yard line. Philadelphia. Berge thinks the whole thing's pretty funny. I guess it is.
That's a good shot at Bill Berge. He's a rough, tough linebacker.
Is he?
One of the best ones, I think, in the game today. He played very, very well at Cincinnati. Was an outstanding linebacker there. He came into the Philadelphia Eagle team. We're still having a big discussion down there. Berge's hollering and screaming. The official don't seem to know what's going on. He's laughing. He thinks it's funny, too.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Holding offense and defense. This is 3rd down.
That's his microphone that has a problem right now. And so what we're going to have is 3rd down and 29. It all comes out to that. The ball is back at the 34-yard line of the Saints. New Orleans out of the huddle. Morrison and Montgomery the tackles. Steve and Sanders the guards. John Hill is down over the ball at center. Chuck Muncie turns upfield, and the big guy from Cal at Berkeley almost broke the gate. He saw the opening, shot through it, got out to the 50. A big gainer by Muncie, but still way short of a first down, and the Eagle return men are coming out now. We have 12 minutes and 59 seconds left to go in the first quarter here. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Philadelphia Eagles and the National Football League is prohibited. Wally Henry is now back deep with Larry Marshall. Blanchard hits the ball high, not too deep. Henry at the 15. And the Saints cover nicely. Hit down made at the 17-yard line. And there the Eagles will go on offense for the first time in the game.
On that controversial type situation before, we just had a penalty on the offense and a penalty on the defense, so either one of them nullified another. It was 3rd down situation. It was a good call by Bobby Scott on the 3rd and 29. Didn't want to put the ball up in the air and risk an interception early in the ball game. Ran a sweep, tried to get as much as possible, and then Blanchard came in and hit the ball very well.
There's some new people in the Eagles starting lineup. Guy Morris, the regular center, is out with a fractured cheekbone. Dennis Franks is starting. And James Pedersen, who ran the ball well against Washington, is one of the starting running backs. He has the ball to start the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hits it out to the 20. A gain of about 3 yards on the play. And there, the Eagles will come up with 2nd down and 7. There's Betterson, a big back out of North Carolina.
Betterson, of course, last week against Washington had a 5-point yard per carry average. He and Lusk both last week ran the ball extremely well in one particular drive without Jaworski having to throw the football. Took it 70-some yards for a touchdown against a good, strong defensive football team in Washington.
Pollard, Price, Sterling Moore, and Grooms across the defensive front of the Saints. They go to the run again. Here is Sullivan cutting upfield. He has a first down, but it might come back as a penalty marker goes flying in. And let's watch it back now. You'll see some good Eagle offensive blocking. Those guards, Wade Key and Jerry Sizemore, get out in front of it.
Here comes Sizemore and Key. Good cut by Sullivan. Back off the good fine block. Out there by number 72. Wade Key of the Philadelphia Eagles. Some good blocking, but we have a holding penalty, as you might guess, on a long run.
Offense, 84, holding.
There is the first quarter score. The underdog New York Jets, who almost beat Miami 3 weeks ago at the Orange Bowl, have gone in front in the first quarter in a Pat Leahy field goal from 37 yards out. Tommy Myers, normally the free safety for the Saints, is not starting today. He has an injury problem, and Jimmy Stewart, a rookie from Tulsa, is in there. So Jaworski will take a look at him deep before long, we can be sure. Sullivan goes up the middle on 2nd and long and hits the ball out close to the 14-yard line following the penalty. Bob Pollard and Jim Merlo made the tackle. Merlo, Fetterspiel, and Pat Hughes at the line for New Orleans. Ernie Jackson and Clarence Chapman at the corners. And Chuck Christ and Jimmy Stewart are the safeties. There is Jaworski.
The situation where Jaworski gets himself in problems with his long yardage and tries to force the football a little more than he should. With everyone dropping back, the secondary becomes overcrowded. You'll see that the Saints will probably put on a pretty hard rush, possibly a blitz in this type of situation, but let's watch it.
Jaworski rolls away from the pass rush. He's got time. Now he's got to run it, and the Saints are going to get him. Aloysius Grooms comes down and knocks him down hard at the 20. So the Saints can come out of this with good field position as they send their punt return unit out.
Jaworski on halfway decent plate fake, roll out to the left to try to get more room to throw the ball and to get better protection. Sees an opening and tries. He elects to take it and then have to come in. Spike Jones will be kicking from his own 5-yard line.
Richard Howdy, rookie out of Penn State, is back deep for the Saints. Saints put on a big rush. They're going to block the punt. Did not get to it. Spike Jones hits it downfield. Mahdi takes it at his 42. Good pursuit by the Eagles, and Mahdi is knocked out of bounds at the 42, and a penalty marker goes down. Vince Papali was the man who came down and made the first hit on special teams. So what we have here, we'll wait for the official signal. The punt was 37 yards in the line of scrimmage, and there was no return where they knocked Mahdi out of bounds. Going to go against the Saints. Looks like a clip.
They almost got to that ball that time. Spike Jones was taking a little bit too much time to kick it, and they almost got in on top of him.
40 on the return.
Jim Marcellus is called for the clip in on the return unit of the New Orleans Saints. And now we're going to have a timeout on the field with 10:15 to play in the first quarter. There is no score on the board. The Saints and the Eagles will be ready to tee it up when we come back.
Your family farmed this land for 6 generations. And not one day was easy. The work never ends, but you do it with pride and all the strength you can muster.
Okay, boys, let's go home.
And when the sun finally takes a rest, so do you. And you call it Miller time. Time to relax and head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life. America's quality beer since 1855.
When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear. If you got the time, we got the beer. Miller Beer.
With Johnny Unitas, this is Don Criqui back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Temperature in the mid-50s. Wind is a factor. It's gusting. A damp, overcast day. There's no score on the board. The Saints have the ball first and 10. Back at their 26. Here comes Chuck Muncy. He looks a lot like Simpson, doesn't he? The way that he slows and then accelerates and uses those shoulders to throw off tacklers.
I believe he's a little more powerful than Simpson is. Simpson is a glider and sort of a floater type man. If the hole's not there, he'll go one more to the outside. Muncy will not hesitate to run over top of someone. Outstanding back coming out of University of California. I guess the most celebrated back since Jackie Jensen from that era.
Well, his coach out there, Mike White, who knew a lot about Jim Brown, says he's got the same attributes: speed, power, and great balance. It is 2nd and 7 now as the Saints go to the pitch back once again to Chuck Muncy. This time the Eagles are there to stop it cold. They're a tough club to run against with that 3-4. Making the hit there was Carl Hairston, number 78. And Charlie Johnson, the middle guard, 65, was in on just about every hit.
I'm impressed with Johnson. You notice a good linebacker, when he hits someone, they go backward. Very seldom do they go forward, and he is a good one. He's really a fine linebacker to complement Bill Berge, number 66 of the Philadelphia Eagles, who's also an outstanding linebacker.
Eagles playing with those 4 linebackers: Lemaster, Mahalik, Berge, and Bunting. Bobby Scott guns the ball up the middle. A nice reception by Don Herman for a first down. The good ones catch it over the middle, and Scott puts a lot of heat on the ball and drills it right on the number.
Don Herman, who last year caught 47 passes for the Saints, has not scored a touchdown since 1975. An outstanding reception by Don Herman and a good pass. Let's take a look at how the offensive line handles Berge on a blitzing situation as he's coming in. There it is right there. Double team on Mr. Berge, who was about 2 yards short of getting Bobby Scott.
Sanders and Steve got it now. Galbraith doesn't have much luck at all as he is going to be spotted back at the 33-yard line. A loss of about 8 or 9 yards on the play. Dallas has moved out in front of the Giants early in the game. 7-0.
Let's take a look at the defense coming in. As you see, a very fine defensive football team in the Philadelphia Eagles, gang tackling at all times.
Bobby Scott, another timing pattern. This one he skips in behind John Gilliam. Here's a penalty marker down. They might rule that Herman Edwards held Gilliam when he was cutting in.
Well, Berge's down there hollering and screaming someone. We'll have to wait for the official call. It's a call against the offense, I believe, for pushing coming back to the inside.
Berge's a very spirited young man. Even in the warm-ups before the game, he was jawing at you, John, for throwing some record yardage over him one day.
Yeah, but you know what he said. We still beat the out of you, didn't we?
Yeah. What was that game? The Eagles or?
No, that was against San Diego in my first year out there against Cincinnati.
Look at Berge. Do you think that looks like a football player? This guy came to the Philadelphia Eagles from the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 number 1 draft choices and a number 2. And it turned out to be an excellent deal. He has been a great all-pro football player the whole time he's been here.
Take a look at Berge with his head off. He could pose for holy pictures.
Offense 85, offensive pass interference. 2nd down.
Tight end Childs is called for offensive pass interference. So now the Saints are falling back again. They're all the way back to their 24-yard line. And now it'll be 2nd down coming up at 27. That's a load to pick up. You know those Eagles are going to be teeing off with an all-out rush. And here they come as Scott takes a timing pattern in the flat. Gets the ball to Childs, his tight end, but he's quickly knocked down.
Henry Childs has caught 4 touchdown passes so far this season. He's in a tie with Harold Jackson and Sammy White for the NFC lead. He's a good tight end, an excellent blocker, and he makes that running tack go. Be able to run a football in the National Football League, you have to have a good blocking tight end in order to get outside. If you can't get outside, it's pretty tough going up the middle. You have to rely on the passing attack to do the job for you.
3rd and long as Scott takes the drop, steps into the pocket and lets her rip a mile high, and covering very nicely on the play was Johnny Outlaw. And so the Saints fail to move the football again. In fact, they were knocked back by this Eagle defense. Henry Stram faces the sidelines. His computer printout in hand.
The impeccably dressed Henry Stram, you may add. I've never seen Henry with a strand of hair out of place or a missed button on his suit, have you?
No, Henry's a very natty guy and about the hardest working person I've ever been around. When he broadcast for CBS, I never saw a guy put so much. He just works hard. He says you have to. Asked him why he drafted big football players all the time. He said, listen, this is a game of knocking people down. Big ones do it better.
And a lot easier than little ones do. They have Larry Marshall back and received the punt. Larry has already returned 28 punts so far this season. And that's just 6 short of Ed Ball's club record of 34 punt returns set in 1952.
Blanchard hit it into the wind. You saw the ball held up, and Larry Marshall is forced into something he doesn't like to do. That's the fair catch. And so now the Eagles will have the ball at their 34-yard line, 1st and 10, as we have 7:22 to play in the first quarter and no score.
Should have bought Mobil 1. The oil, it saves you gas, you know.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Helps you start at 35 below.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Engine temperature hits 500. You're cool.
Should have bought Mobil 1. You only change it every 15,000 miles.
Mobil 1, the oil that does it all. Take it from an expert.
Introducing the Ford in your future, the new Ford Fairmont. A new car designed for today and the years ahead. Fairmont's mileage ratings are the same as a little VW Rabbit when both are equipped with automatic transmission. And this Fairmont, as shown, is actually sticker price less than this Rabbit. Yet Fairmont has 90% of the head, leg, and shoulder room of most large cars. Fairmont, roomy but with mileage like a small car, and the lowest sticker price in its class. Test drive Fairmont, the newest, better idea from Ford.
We're back and ready to go at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles have the ball in a scoreless first quarter. Their second possession, 1st and 10 at their 34-yard line. Ron Jaworski is the quarterback. Now Lusk and Betterson are in. Vermeil said he's going to give 2 sets of running backs about equal playing time. Betterson's the up back. Lusk is a breakaway runner, and he takes the play fake as Jaworski swings it out now to Betterson. And Betterson, seeing the Saints close in, angled out, got the head for some yardage. Jimmy Stewart, who's playing the strong safety, as Chuck Crisp moves over to free safety, replacing Tom Myers, made the stop. Betterson was drafted on the 8th round by Denver a couple of years ago, was cut by that team, came here as a free agent. Last week he ran for 16 yards and a touchdown against the Washington Redskins in a game the Eagles would have won had they not given up 2 quick touchdowns early in the game. They get tough as the game wears on. It's a well-conditioned football team, the Eagles. They're strong in the 4th quarter. The Saints have not done well in the first quarter. They've scored but 1 touchdown in their first 7 games and have given up 8 in the first 15 minutes of play. They do better in the second half, too. The Saints were looking for that all the way. Alex Price comes and meets the ball carrier Betterson head-on. Hattie Hughes also on the stop.
Good defensive play by the New Orleans Saints. On that, they were coming with a blitz as we watched the linebacker come right over the middle. Both of them, as you see in your picture right there, and there's a play. Excellent play by the New Orleans Saints. And so far, the Eagles have not been able to move against this fine defensive football team, New Orleans Saints. You know, New Orleans Saints in the last 4 out of their 7 ball games have given up over 400 yards for on the ground and total yardage to the opposite team, which is not very good.
Get it done for you. 3rd and 9 now. Betterson might be a little groggy after that hit. He's still in as a setback. Jaworski takes the drop. Here comes Price. Jaworski gets it away. Man is open. Charlie Smith has the ball at the 41-yard line of New Orleans. Jaworski, who has the gun arm, puts a line drive in to Charlie Smith, the wide receiver from Grambling, running the post pattern over the middle. Nice reception, too, John.
A very good reception. A fine protection afforded Jaworski that time as we see the throw. A fine catch by Smith down in there. Of course, he's down as he goes down with the play. But the Eagles have been very good throwing to their outside receivers so far. They throw about, most of the time we're throwing to throw 40% to the outside receivers. and about 20% to the backs coming out of the backfield, which is a little bit different.
That was a 25-yard gain, so Philadelphia is starting to mount a challenge. Their deepest penetration. Here's Betterson swinging into the Saints defense. He gets inside the 35 and down to the 33. Fetterspiel, the middle linebacker, was on the stop for New Orleans. The Eagles are a lot better team than their record. They came within a play of beating Dallas. They lost 16-10. Lost by 6 to Washington. And here's Joe Fetterspiel.
Good look at Fetterspiel as he takes on the offensive people and win to make the tackle, having an outstanding year, probably the best year he's had since joining the Saint football team.
But the tackle is made 6 yards downfield, almost 7. Second down coming up now for Jaworski and the Eagles. Here's Patterson, and he crashes ahead for a first down. He's down to the 28-yard line. Pat Hughes, playing the linebacker on the outside, came over to make the hit, but they're getting some excellent blocking. There's an all-pro quality football player. Here's the Buffalo Bills, a very interesting score, as Joe Ferguson has just thrown for a touchdown to Reuben Gant, tight end, and Buffalo, a big underdog, playing without O.J. Simpson, coming off a 55-17 loss to Seattle. Goes out in front of New England, but that's a long way from over. The Patriots got a machine up there. First and 10 Eagles. No score in the first quarter. Jaworski hands off. Second back through is lost, and he breaks tackles and rips it all the way down to the 15-yard line. A 14-yard gain on the play, and the Eagles are moving the Saints out at this point.
Let's watch the offensive play by the Philadelphia Eagles as they take it to the New Orleans Saints. Wade Key, number 72, on a fine block to the outside. As you see, Herb Luss going up, picking up 15 yards. It's a tough job out there for those linebackers. They get knocked all over the place. Look at Fetterspiel on this play and the offensive blocking of the Philadelphia Eagles, which is really the whole answer behind the game right now.
Dennis Franks, the center, was the man who chop blocked Joe Fetterspiel there, the reach block as they call it. And now, Ron Jaworski, before his team is penalized for delay of game, takes a look at a defense he's in like and calls a timeout. So we have the clock stopped, 3:46 to play in the first quarter here at the Vet in Philadelphia, and still no score, but the Eagles are challenging.
Are you still chained to? Gotcha. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor lets you walk away, free from nicks and cuts. Its 36 surgical steel rotary razor blades are safely protected inside 3 floating heads to give you a comfortable shave that's razor close, razor smooth, for up to 3 weeks on a single charge. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor. It lets you walk away from gotcha.
Hi. Heading for your Avis car? Well, I'm the guy who checked it out. Yes, sir. Had the fan belt adjusted, the oil changed, even checked the power windows.
Very nice.
Gonna purr like a kitten. At Avis, we try harder. We designed our own car care program to help make our cars safe and ready to go. Thank you.
Herbert, is he family?
We try harder, Avis. Avis, we don't know another way.
Judd Hirsch guest stars as Rhoda has a new romance.
Dinner to a drive-in movie, make out a little bit.
Yeah, last night. Sensational.
Watch Rhoda Sunday night.
Back at Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. The Eagles have the ball. They have it first and 10 at the 14-yard line of New Orleans. There's no score with 3:46 to play in the first quarter. But the Eagles are moving the ball, running it at the Saints, and they're challenging right now. Jaworski at quarterback has men split to either side, and Carmichael and Smith. Tight end goes in motion. Crefley, they come back to the weak side now, and Betterson runs it right up the gut at the Saints and takes it inside the 10. Lots of nice blocking from that interior line. Franks, the center's playing well.
Betterson picking the hole extremely well. Started out to the strong side, saw a hole develop over the middle. Let's take a look at it here from our end zone camera. You see Betterson going to right, coming back, seeing some good blocking for him, picking the hole extremely well. Fine blocking by that offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's where the game is won, right in the pits. The offensive line taking it right to the defensive line of the Saints.
The right guard on the Eagles, 76, Jerry Sizemore, former #1 draft choice out of Texas, is a tremendous football player. They'll be going over him a lot. And running with the ball is Luss. The Freyan tailback from Long Beach takes it down to the 5-yard line. And very close to yet another first down. Alois Grooms and Jimmy Stewart were on the stop.
Jimmy Stewart playing today a strong safety. Plays Tommy Myers. Chris playing the weak safety, coming up on the tackle right here. And again, the Philadelphia Eagles are just blowing the Saints back at will. Saints are going to have to get quite a bit tougher than that to play against the Eagles this afternoon.
So now we have the first real challenge of the game coming up right now. It is 3rd and 1. This New Orleans defense sends its linebackers into the gap. Low line defense for the Saints. 3rd and 1 from the 5. Looks like they might have the first down. Go on a quick run. Bob Pollard, a good defensive end, comes across from the left side, made the hit. But we'll see if the Saints gave up the yard, and apparently they did. The Eagles have a first down. So now they've got it 1st and goal, point-blank range.
Good call by Jaworski. The quarterback's rule in any kind of short yardage, either go straight or almost straight ahead. Slant off tackle or straight up the middle. Very seldom do you go wide on a situation like that. Very good call. Good offensive movement by the line.
The Saints go with 2 tight ends now. Osborne and Crefty to either side are the Eagles. 2 tight ends, 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. Jaworski takes a look, hands up. Here's Pedersen, and he is hit and drilled. Chris came up, and Derlin Moore came across, so the Saints stopped the first call. It'll be 2nd and goal. Let's watch it again from the end zone.
Take a look at blocking and the tackle by Chuck Chris coming up from the safety position, number 44, right here on Pedersen. He's right there. He has a nose for the football. Here comes Derlin Moore over to help him. Good tackle by the Derlin Moore, Chuck Chris, and some good defensive football by the Saints that time.
Bob Pollard, Alex Price, Derlin Moore, and Alois Grooms across the defensive front. The linebackers on the outside, Merlo and Hughes, come up tight. Fetterspiel gets down up the middle. And gives the yard off the line. Stewart, you see, strong safety coming up. Here is a handoff to Pedersen. He didn't get there. On 2nd and goal from the 3, he might have hit down to the 2, but no more. Jimmy Stewart and Fetterspiel were on the stop for the Saints as they filled those gaps very quickly.
The yardage is tough to come by down and around that goal line. And as you see, the Saints are trying to pull that strap a little bit tighter and get everyone in closer. You may be looking for the play-action pass from this position here, or possibly they may decide to go for the run and keep the ball in front of the goalpost. In case they don't make it, to come up with a straight shot for the field goal kick.
Horace Muhlman had the like an extra point for him, but now they go 3rd and goal from just inside the 2-yard line. No score in the first quarter. Handoff, Jaworski goes to Pedersen, and he got into the end. Did he? No, we did not see the hands go up. We saw him come up from the Eagles, but not from the official, and he did not get in. Grooms and Chris filled the run and stopped Pedersen, but the nose of the ball is going to be almost to the goal line.
Big decision coming up now by Chuck Vermeil or Jaworski. I'm sure the decision will be made from the bench to see what they want to go with.
You see just how close it is now as they dry off the football. There's no rain. There is the threat of it. It's a very overcast day. That was the last play of the first quarter, so whatever they do, they're going to do at the other end of the field. We'll be back in a moment. At the end of the first 15 minutes of play, the Philadelphia Eagles moving the ball very well, mounted the first real challenge of the game, but yet no score.
That's a good picture. That's a better picture. Even closer. Even better.
Polaroid's SX70 does, without attachments, what no other camera can do. Shoot from less than a foot away. In minutes, you have a color portrait, sharp and clear. Polaroid's SX70 Alpha 1.
When it's so cold, a radiator can freeze solid, and you're still rolling. That's the mark of Xerox. When it's so hot, a radiator can blow its top, and you're still driving cool. That's the mark of Xerox. When corrosion is eating holes in radiators, and you're still going strong. That's the mark of Xerox. Start fresh now with year-round protection. That's the mark of Xerox.
With Johnny Unitas, this is Don Criqui back at Philadelphia. The Eagles have the ball, 4th and goal, and there is the brain trust. Dick Vermeil in the middle with the headset on. 9 assistant coaches augment his staff. And he sends his team out now. 4th and goal, they're going to look for 6. Let's see if they don't go wide to the right to Pedersen. He's a power back. Maybe he'll block and Lusk will get it. Those are the two setbacks. Jaworski takes it. Called number 7.
Well, he looked like a kangaroo on that play, right up over the top. A fine play, a fine move by the quarterback, Jaworski, to get the ball across the goal line. The defensive team of the Saints were submarining, and he just went over top. Look at the play right here as Jaworski goes right over top of Jerry Sizemore, number 76. There it is, another look on it as he goes over, and all you have to do is break the plane of the goal line to get a touchdown. 14 plays on that drive by the Philadelphia Eagles to score.
So the Eagles now will try for the 7th point. The Saints have been outscored now 63-10 in the first quarter. 8 games they've played this season. Well, that actually came in the second quarter. That's just the opening play of the second quarter. But the first points are up. It is 7-0 Philadelphia, and New Orleans will get the ball on the kickoff and try to get back in it.
Introducing a new 1978 Ford Granada, the ESS. Can you tell it from this impressive $20,000 Mercedes 280 SE? Granada. Mercedes. Granada. Mercedes. Granada. Mercedes. The new Ford Granada ESS. See how close you can come to the look of a $20,000 Mercedes at the price of a Granada. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Dribbles to the top of the key, shoots, good. The pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 3.
Ever want to watch 2 things that are on at the same time? Well, now you can, because Sony's revolutionary Betamax deck, which hooks up to any TV set, can actually videotape something off one channel while you're watching another channel. With Sony's Betamax, you won't miss a thing.
A triple play. You've just seen a triple play.
No, I didn't.
You don't see those very often.
Except for the insurance and closing.
Oh, well, what insurance company?
Ah, they're all the same.
Allstate's different.
Different? How?
We give a 10% discount for newer homes.
Oh?
It's a 10% discount.
Now 10% off our rate.
On basic homeowners insurance for houses 5 years old or less.
Allstate's different, all right.
Good hand.
Oh, boy.
When it takes being different to be better, Allstate will do it.
That's a promise from us. The good hands people.
Back in Philadelphia, the Eagles have put the first points of the game on the board. They lead 7-0 as now the deep men back for New Orleans. To your left is Rich Marty, the rookie from Penn State, and Clarence Chapman, number 24. Horst Muhlmann will be kicking the ball off for the Eagles as they mounted a very, very well-done drive. Running the ball right at the Saints for the most part. Did get the big gain of the 25-yard pass to Charlie Smith on a big play. But they run it in, and Jaworski takes it in. Here comes Mounty with a channel of blockers off the left side. Breaking back to the right, and he gets it all the way out to the 45-yard line. John? Well, we've got some real good television coming up next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular, one of the hallmark events in stock car racing, the Dixie 500, run at the Atlanta International Raceway on November 6th, the 18th annual Dixie 500. You'll see it next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. You'll see the great drivers like Cal Yarbrough and Richard Petty. And then, of course, the Pendleton Rodeo Roundup. And then the World's Strongest Men competition will be coming to you. All next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. Here's Scott throwing long. Childs is out there. A fight for the ball, and the Eagles have it. Most remarkable, the ball is taken away by John Sanders. Childs had the ball, and Sanders took it away, and there's a penalty marker down.
The flag on that play was an outstanding throw by Scott. The tight end had it. Childs had it for a second, and Sanders came in and knocked the ball up in the air and picked it right out of the air. And we have some problems down there with the officials. Carmichael's saying it looks like it's our football.
Well, the Eagle offense is going out. They think it is, too. Boy, Sanders just outworked Childs to the football there.
He wanted it just a little bit more than Childs did, and that's what the name of the game on defense. Go for the ball, play the ball while it's in the air. It's up for grabs.
I tell you, Buffalo's getting serious with New England. Bills are now in front 14-0. There might have been a little meeting among the boys.
Well, I tell you, they took a big wallop last week against the Seattle.
Defense, 87, legal use of the hands.
And here is the play again, and watch Sanders, 26. Childs actually has the ball, and Sanders just comes over the top and takes it away.
A good defensive play by Sanders as he still Child's looking for the ball. Sanders says, I have it, and it belongs to me, partner.
Sir, fingers never left his hand. Swing pass goes out to Charlie Smith. He gets room to run. Eagles running a quick wide receiver screen. Setting it up nicely. Jaworski with a good fake, and Chuck Christ knocked it down. That's worth seeing again, the interception.
Outstanding play as we see Bobby Scott roll out to his right, getting him more protection, lofts the ball up, and let's watch the play by 26 Sanders as he comes over top of Child's back. Finally keeps his eye on the ball and both hands for the interception. Good play.
So it is a first down for the Eagles. They lead the game here in the second quarter. 14:26 to play in the first half, and it's 7-0 Philadelphia. The handoff goes, and Betterson, cutting off tackle, slanting out, is knocked down by Pat Hughes, an outside linebacker. Also on the stop was Alois Groom, but he got ahead for 3 yards. It'll be second down and 7. Ball is down inside the Saints' 45-yard line now.
And the Philadelphia Eagles throwing some control-type passes as we saw the screen out there to Smith previously, and then we're doing some running now by the Jaworski, keeping it on the ground, maintaining control of the football. He's ahead 7-0 at this point, so he's taking it right to the Saints.
The overmatch in this game has been the offensive unit of the Eagles against the defensive line of the Saints. The Eagles are winning the line of scrimmage, running the football. They lead 7-0. Now Tom Sullivan back in the game, turning wide, gets out pretty close to the 40-yard line of the Saints. He got ahead for about 4. Our football.
Talking about Tommy Sullivan, he's handled the ball 201 times in 1976 and 77 and has fumbled only twice during that time. There we see a score. San Francisco 0, Atlanta 0 in the second period.
Steve Bartkowski back in at quarterback today, and there San Diego and Detroit scoreless in the second quarter at Pontiac, Michigan. Bartkowski back in at quarterback for Atlanta as a starter after missing 9 games last year. And the first 6 this year has played briefly in the last 2. The last one now is just the start. Could be a difference, and here is an offside against the Saints. Left end, Pollard jumped. Merlo might have come too. So on 3rd and 3, the Eagles are going to be beneficiaries of an offside and get the first down on the penalty. It's down to the 35-yard line. Here's Fred Silva, the referee.
Defense, 82. Encroachment. First down.
Bob Pollard has been an outstanding football player for the Saints for the last few years.
He has. He's been very consistent. A big defensive end from Weber State. Whole front 4 is good, although they had trouble matching up with the Eagle offensive line in this game so far. Eagles 7, Saints 0, second quarter. 1st and 10, Philadelphia. Jaworski puts it up. Man is open quickly. The tight end is almost intercepted. Chuck Christ came across from the free safety, roving in center field, replacing Tommy Myers, who's injured out there, and looked like Krefli was going to get it. And then Christ had it for a moment.
Krefli was open for the touchdown. Let's watch the offensive blocking this time by the Eagles on Bob Pollard, number 82, at the top of your screen. Watch the job that they do on him. He has Sizemore back there, number 76, as well, blocking on him. Excuse me, Ed George, rather, as you see them handling Pollard very, very easily.
So it goes as an incomplete pass, very nearly an interception. Second down and 10. This drive originated on an Eagle interception. Bobby Scott. Sanders taking the ball away from Childs. Betterson tries to run it straight ahead, and he is read and knocked down by Joe Fettersfield, a 6-year veteran from Kentucky. A lot of speculation before the season. Baltimore was going to try to get Fettersfield, give up a lot to get him.
They tried. I think he's one of the best linebackers. Really hasn't had the notoriety that a lot of them have had. Score of Miami 7, New York Jets 3 in the second period. He does an excellent job on a run, and it has been improving with each ball game as on pass defense, getting back to his area and knocking down some balls.
In that Jets-Miami game, Bob Greasy threw to Duriel Harris to put the Dolphins in front. 3rd down and just over 10. Jaworski isn't going to get there. A free safety blitz got him. Chuck Christ was coming and was never picked up. And there's also a penalty marker down in the play. The Saints coming with an all-out blitz on 3rd and long. And we'll wait for Fred Silva to give us the call. Could be a hold against the Eagles.
Offense, 64, holding.
Ed George, the right tackle, was holding.
That's the 18th sack so far this year by the Saints, as we see the linebackers, Chuck Chris, 44, coming in right there.
He was hiding behind
Grooms. Now he had 2 sacks last week against the Rams on safety blitzes, as we saw one right there. He's been doing a fine job.
Mike Jones punts the ball, and not very well, although it does get an Eagle roll, and it gets a real good Eagle roll, and all of a sudden Spike Jones has done some good work. It looked like a bad punt. The Eagles look like they're down in a dice game, and all of a sudden they have the ball backed up to the 4-yard line of New Orleans. So Jones rolls one down at the Saints, and when we come back, it'll be New Orleans on offense, but deep in a hole.
I dare you to knock this off. I dare you to compare anybody's batteries, anybody's, with alkaline power cells. Trying to beat them for long life. You know what? You can't. When you want long-lasting energy, you can't buy a longer-lasting, all-purpose power system than gold, red, and black alkaline power cells from Eveready. Come on. I dare you.
This drop is too little to cover the head of a match. Yet this is enough adhesive, super strong, super fast to lift 2.5 tons. It's Duro Super Glue. A drop will do to mend jewelry, ceramics, rubber, and glass in only 10 seconds. It truly is super strong and super fast. Super Glue. A drop will do. Super Glue. A product of Loctite Technology.
That is the football being protected from a very light mist. Rain is really not a factor. Tomorrow night, Logan, Jessica, and Rem stumble onto an SOS that's 200 years old. It was left for 6 people in suspended animation. Where else could such a mind-bending situation occur but on Logan's Run? Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central and Mountain Time here on CBS. Saints trail 7-0. Second quarter. Have the ball. 1st and 10 after 4. They go to Galbraith, the big back from Missouri, and he hits it out close to the 7. Gives him a little room to operate, but not much. Bill Berge filled number 66 from Arkansas State. He's now in his 4th year with the Eagles, his 9th year in pro football. Johnson, the middle guard, was also on the play. He can call their names about every play.
Johnson, Berge doing an outstanding job. The Saints have something to look forward to. They've scored 70 points in the second quarter of the season. It's a second only to Dallas, 73.
Childs, the tight end, goes in motion. And Muncy breaks off the left side and comes out across the 10-yard line. He'll be short of a 1st down, but not by too much. It'll be up 3rd and short yardage. LeMaster made the tackle. Berge takes a lot of people to move him.
Take a look at Berge as he's playing. He's seen right up on top of the offensive man coming out on him, and he stands his ground, and finally Muncy runs right over top of him. Berge's a heck of a linebacker. I'm sure it was a hard thing to give up at Cincinnati, but it was a great acquisition for the Philadelphia Eagles. And look at that score.
Raymond Claiborne, after Buffalo scored its 2nd touchdown, ran back the kickoff 93 yards for New England's first score, so it's now 14-7. The Bills over the Patriots. Pitch back goes to Muncy on 3rd and 2, and the Eagles eat him up. The Eagle defense eats him up, and that was your friend, Mr. Berge. And Johnson, something else. Johnson wasn't drafted until the 9th round out of Colorado.
Let's take a look at Berge as he's coming in. Following the pitch to the outside, Berge elects to take an inside position. He got wrapped right there by an offensive man, but the off defense of the football team slowed everything down and enabled Berge to come underneath the play and make the tackle. Good defensive play by the Philadelphia Eagles all afternoon.
Larry Marshall is now at his 46-yard line for the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles could get good field position out of this as Blanchard backed into his end zone. A good hard snap, a big rush. Blanchard gets it away and hits it well. But Marshall will return it from his 48. Right up the middle of the field inside the 40. And Larry Marshall, who doesn't try to juke too many people, he's not a real burner, but he finds holes and he rips through them like he did there, and he gets the ball inside the 30-yard line of the Saints. It's a great return by Marshall. He found a little gap and he got right through it.
Watch some of the blocking downfield. as the Eagles come down and pick up some of the Saints. As you see a hole form for Marshall right up the middle, and he takes advantage of it.
Big block on that play by Wally Henry, who took Lee Gross off the play.
Campbell, number 73, in on that tackle on Marshall, is one of the better special teams players for the New Orleans Saints.
Yep, we're going to do it all over again. They're bringing the play back. They're starting the ball at what was the line of scrimmage, the 9-yard line, 4th and 6. And we'll wait for an explanation, which hopefully will come.
If it doesn't, don't ask me.
Well, you can figure that'll be offsetting penalties. Eagle fans are somewhat perplexed as they boo. And Larry Marshall is back again at his 46.
He's got another chance to run it back. Let's see how far he goes.
Not too well hit. Marshall returned this one again. Same way, right up the middle. Its coverage is a little better this time, and Marshall gets down to the 35. We're now told that the officials blew the whistle before the snap of the ball on the first punt, so it was ruled no play. That's why they brought it back. Right now, we have 9:44 left to play in the first half as Blanchard steps into the ball, and the Eagles, with a 7-0 lead, have very good field position as they take over possession.
This year, when you step out on the town, don't just drive. Take off in the 1978 Thunderbird. With its distinctive look and size, its Thunderbird quality and comfort. And it comes at a down-to-earth price of $58.08 with automatic transmission, power steering, power brakes, V8 and more. Flight test the 1978 Thunderbird. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Here's two good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Where you been? It wasn't easy getting tickets for this game. Here, Bob. Eddie, I know exactly what I want. I want the biggest steak you've got and a bottle of Lowenbrow. Steak and Lowenbrow. Dolan, you're a genius.
When you want the taste of a truly great beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
Here's to the chef. Here's to the bartender.
You want to see how adorable and shy I am?
On Our Own, the lights go out and Julia gets turned on by a tall, dark stranger. On Our Own, tonight, following Rhoda.
The Eagles have something to dance and to cheer about. They're following here at the Vet in Philadelphia. Watches Philadelphia come out of the huddle, 1st and 10 at their 35-yard line. They lead the game 7-0. Betterson and Lusk are the setbacks behind Ron Jaworski. Tight end goes in motion. They run it right up the middle. A hard run by Herb Lusk. And he hits it down to the 31 where Derlin Moore, a big defensive tackle from Oklahoma, got him.
Eagles maintaining control of the football on the ground most of the afternoon with occasional throw from Jaworski to his outside receiver Smith. Has not gone to his backs too often, usually going downfield, but most of the game has been played on the ground. Eagles have 25 plays. Out of 25, 21 of them have been runs, 4 passes. Betterson on 11 carries.
2nd and 5 now for Philadelphia. Handoff goes to Betterson. He's down close to the 27 or 8-yard line of the Saints. Betterspiel again was on the stop for New Orleans. It'll bring up 3rd and short yardage for Philadelphia.
Philadelphia again electing to go to the ground, keeping control of the football. Now they're in good position if they have to give it up for a field goal try. And we'll see what Jaworski does here. He could possibly come back out here. I hate to call plays, but could come out a little play action pass and maybe try to get that back downfield somewhere. But let's take a look, see what he wants to do.
3rd and short, 3rd and 2. Seen a lot of offensive sets by the Saints, throwing a lot of things. And here is Betterson breaking off tackle. He's got a 1st down for the Eagles as he breaks off the left side, hits inside the 25-yard line. Chuck Christ and Fetterspiel were on the play. And so the Eagles drive on.
This is an off-tackle play right here from Jaworski to Betterson, as you see him pick up Fetterspiel and Chris coming in, making the tackle. On that, we don't have it on the camera, but Carmichael was downfield blocking. If he could have broken the tackle in front, he's going all the way because Carmichael had his defensive back down.
Eagles grinding it out, straight ahead offense. They're moving the ball on the Saints the same way the Saints beat the Rams last week, running it right at them. Jaworski, play fake, takes a look, puts it out. Lusk caught the ball. Matt Hughes almost intercepted, and Lusk somehow came away with the football. It'll be first and goal at the 6-yard line. Herb Lusk with a very, very important reception, but nearly was the second interception of the game. The Eagles have picked one off.
That ball just floated right underneath the arms of Pat Hughes. Let's watch the throw by Jaworski. Watch the catch. Hughes thought he had the football, but Lusk came up with it. Excellent play by Lusk and a good reception, keeping his eye on the football. 17-yard completion.
Now the Eagles are challenging again. First and goal from the 6-yard line. Boy, the Saints come off the tee quickly.
Well, the back slipped in the backfield that time. Jaworski making a wise move, not trying to get the ball to him, just going down himself. I believe Jaworski slipped on it himself as he was coming back to hand the football off to Lusk. But both backs slipped going down. Well, I tell you, it's kind of an embarrassing thing to have happen to a quarterback or to a back, and you just kind of try to look for a hole to hide in.
Yep. And that hole gets filled up real quickly by white shirts, doesn't it? Second down and goal now from the 11-yard line. Willie Smith from Grambling in motion. Gun pass, and Carmichael has the ball for a Philadelphia touchdown. Harold Carmichael, who Saints fans in Baton Rouge remember so well at Southern University, leans his 6 feet 8 inches in and takes the second touchdown of the game.
Beat Clarence Chapman back to the inside. Chapman, of course, made a mistake. When you're down that close to the goal line, you cannot give ground as a defensive back. You must stay up on the nose of a receiver and try to intimidate him. You back up and you're just giving him more room in which to come break back inside. That's exactly what happened to Clarence Chapman as he backed off the ball. Carmichael just taking a step down and back to the inside for the reception.
A very weird extra point attempt, a knuckleball kick. But it counts if it goes through, and it did. And so it is now 14-0 game as the Philadelphia Eagles have taken command in the second quarter.
It's hard to tell the difference between JCPenney plain pockets jeans and the world's best-selling jeans. After all, they're both made of tough, heavy denim with good looks and great styling. In fact, you probably couldn't tell the difference at all unless you noticed the fancy stitching on the back of those famous jeans, or the money you saved on plain pockets. JCPenney plain pockets. The big difference between us and them is the pocket and the price.
Wherever you may roam, you'll find our name is known. You can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. When things are getting thick and you want to start real quick, you can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. They've got the stuff when the starting's tough. You can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. Delco Freedom. Thanks, Delco.
Carmichael, a big 6 foot 8 inch, 225-pound wide receiver, now making catches in 74 consecutive games. And that is a very big one as he dives into the end zone for the Eagles' second touchdown. Carmichael came out of Southern University in 1971, was drafted in the 7th round by Philadelphia. He's had Pro Bowl years. 1973, caught 67 passes for over 1,100 yards. Next year he caught 56, 49 the next year. He's a football player. Kickoff a little errant.
And we got a penalty on the flag on that. He was already out of bounds when one of the Eagles came up and just give him a little bit of a love tap. Say, there, take that for going out of bounds too soon.
We have 6:23 left to play in the first half. Here at Philadelphia, Don Criqui with John Unitas. The Eagles drove 66 yards for the first touchdown in 13 plays. Jaworski took it in over the top from a yard out for the touchdown. And then he just pumped the ball into the end zone to Carmichael for a second touchdown. And so the Eagles have a 14-0 lead. The Saints will come out with much better field position now.
Philadelphia, 22, personal foul, out of bounds.
Larry Marshall put a little pop on somebody. out of bounds, and so the subsequent penalty against the Eagles, and now it is 1st and 10 for New Orleans, just across the Saints' 25-yard line. Bobby Scott, the quarterback for the Saints. Looking to put it up. Throws it downfield. Good coverage on the play by the right side cornerback, Herman Edwards. Tried to go to John Gilliam.
Might be interesting to note, as long as these two teams have been playing football, this is the first time the Scott has faced the Eagles since starting to play, and also the first time that Hank Stram has brought a football team in here to Philadelphia.
That's right. He's never coached a team that's played in Philadelphia. Down and might have got the first down. On 2nd and 10, he had to get the ball just inside the 45-yard line of the Eagles, and it appeared he did. Let's see where they spot it. Might be just short. Scott found, well, it's open for me. I'll take it. Thank you.
He's running down, looking at all times to try to throw the football. Then once he gets past the line of scrimmage, he makes his mind up and goes for the first down. Scott so far is 3 for 6 for 30 yards and 1 TD for the year.
Bobby Scott's now in his 6th year with New Orleans. He's been an effective quarterback. Played collegiately at Tennessee. Drafted in the 14th round back in 1971. 3rd and about a foot for the Saints. Muncy looks to turn the corner and does, and he's got room to go. Chuck Muncy darts inside with a great move. But there is a penalty marker down at the 30. And apparently it's going to go against the Saints because Terry Steve, one of the big guards who was pulling out in front, jumped up and down. Not out of joy.
Must have got him for clipping or something. It looked like it was a fairly good block. There's a call. There's the motion by the official as clipping penalty, and beyond Steve, number 68. And these are the things that hurt an offensive football team. Penalties like holding and clipping on, especially when they have big plays, Don. And here you see the first big play for the New Orleans Saints this afternoon being nullified because of a block by an offensive line.
68, clipping.
Terry Steve was the guilty party for the Saints. Here he comes, 68.
Let's see if we can see the clipping penalty out. You see Berge almost catching him there.
Boy, Muncy's some cruiser, isn't he? Look at him just step over people.
There he's coming back. There you see the end of the clip. Couldn't get a good picture on it as everyone else was standing up in the cameraman's face down there.
Chuck Muncy has a big run called back. Now it's going to be 3rd down and 6. Scott looks. Going to take it again. Another penalty marker down as Scott takes a hard lick. Drew Mahalik, 54, hit him. And Johnson was also on the play. But there's another penalty marker down. Back of the line of scrimmage, it looks like a hold against the Saints. Saints are moving the ball out, but they're falling back on the yellow flags.
Now, the Saints quarterback so far this year has been sacked 21 times in their first 4 ball games. Been in just twice in the last 3 games.
Offense, 76, holding.
That's a tough situation. Again, the big penalties now. He's comes up with a 3rd and 25 or 30 yards. Again, a situation which you really don't want to put the football up in the air if you don't have to. The way things have been going, imagine they would just keep it on the ground.
Hank Stram can't be happy with that penalty total here in the first half. 6 for 60 yards. Don Morrison, the right tackle, was called for holding. 5:17 to play in the first half. It is 14-0 Philadelphia as Bobby Scott takes a look, sending people deep. He guns the ball. It's intercepted. Picked off by John Outlaw. And Outlaw is back. He's not done yet. Now he is. Very definitely. But he got the ball back as some trouble breaks out. And here's a penalty marker in the air. And there are going to be more in a minute if they keep it up. They do keep law and order here. So Bobby Scott is intercepted for a second time here in the first half. Johnny Outlaw came back and picked that one off.
That ball went just right on by 2 offensive receivers. I don't know who was intended for, but Johnny Outlaw picked it up.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, both sides, after a dead ball. The play goes as it is.
The Eagle defensive unit so far has intercepted 6 passes this season. 4 of those came in one ball game against the Giants. As you see, the ball was thrown just behind Johnny Outlaw being in a good situation. So far, it's 2 interceptions this afternoon for the Philadelphia Eagles, 8 over the year.
Actually, Outlaw was beaten on the turn-in by Herman, but then when the ball came in behind Herman, John Outlaw found himself with a surprise.
He had 2 men open. The ball was just thrown behind both of them.
So we now have first down and 10 for the Eagles as they've taken the ball back. They've not turned it over. That has been their nemesis this season. But they've taken 2 from the Saints, and they lead the game 14-0. Jaworski's the quarterback. He's run for 1 score. He's passed for another. Wide receiver screen to Carmichael. He's wrestled down by Alois Grooms. Now you'll see a good look at that.
This is the same play that he hit Smith on earlier. This time it goes to Carmichael. Carmichael standing right there in front of our camera. Let's watch the play as they just play pitch and catch. Jaworski to Carmichael, number 17, who's able to pick up a few yards.
Got 4. Very acceptable. You do that 3 times, you keep the yardsticks going.
When you play pitch and catch, it's hard to overthrow a man who's that tall.
6'8". Plus, he's got a good wingspan. He can get up and get it. Redwood's been in motion a lot. They've been putting their tight end in motion. They go on the run to Sullivan. Saints shut it down after a gain of maybe a yard or 2. Alex Price was the primary hit.
Price doing a pretty good job this afternoon. He's been playing well. They still have not been able to get to the quarterback that often, but the offensive line of the Eagles, again, doing a job on the Saints.
Herb Luss comes back into the game. He made that big reception down close to the New Orleans goal line when he took the ball away from Hughes, you'll recall earlier. Very sure-handed wide running back. He'll be probably swinging out as a wide receiver, as a pass catcher in this play. Men are wide to either side. 3rd down and 4. Jaworski takes a look, swings it out to Sullivan. Beats a tackle. First down, Eagles. Tom Sullivan, 15th round draft choice from Miami of Florida some years ago, brings the ball down to the 40-yard line of New Orleans, and the Eagles march on.
He put a move on Fettersfield right here. Watch a little bit of hesitation inside, which fools Fettersfield, and he goes back to the outside to pick up the first down. The Eagles so far are 4 for 7 on 3rd down completions.
The Eagles have been close every week against playoff contenders or teams that will be in the playoffs. Lost 21-17 to St. Louis. Had the ball late in the game and turned it over. Lost 16-10 to Dallas. Led the Cowboys in the 4th quarter in that one. Lost last week 23-17 to Washington at Washington. Had a chance to win in the 4th quarter. Here is Sullivan running ahead on first down. He bangs up for pretty close to 6 yards. Stewart and Price are going to stop for the Saints, but that front line of the Eagles is coming out very crisply and sharply and opening distinct holes for the running backs.
Jaworski calling a good game, keeping the ball on the ground under control. As long as they have it, the Saints, of course, can't score. A very good cutback by Sullivan that time to pick up some good yardage. Good tackling by the Saints. Gang tackling is the only way to bring down an excellent back.
Jaworski's executing a nice game. Second down, about 5. Again, they go to the screen. Charlie Smith darts up the middle. Gets belted from behind, and that gives him the impetus to charge ahead for a first down to the 26-yard line.
They're doing a fine job on Chapman over there. Chapman is back off of Smith, back off of Carmichael. There you see the throw to Smith that time. There's Chapman standing right there in position, but is not able to make the tackle.
So now we're going to have a timeout as the 2-minute warning is given, and the Eagles, who've opened up a surprising 14-0 lead, are beginning to challenge yet again.
In stage 1 of my life, I couldn't stand dull wheels. I'm the same in stage 2 with my new 78 Ford LTD2, the trimmer, sportier LTD at a trimmer price. The LTD of mid-size cars. If you're a sporty guy who appreciates the finer things in life, welcome to stage 2.
Isn't it you in an LTD2? You'll never know till you try.
Welcome to LTD2.
A better idea from Ford. When you're looking for tires that put teeth in winter driving, drop in on the Snowbiters at Firestone. Look at them. 2 sets of deep, biting teeth that really gobble up snow. But they don't take a bite out of you. Right now, a polyester cord Snowbiter is just $20 plus federal excise tax. And you can charge them. For quiet running, long mileage, and plenty of traction, Firestone Town and Country Snowbiters.
We are back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. There's regional NFL action coming up next Sunday on CBS. The Lions and the Falcons hook up in Atlanta. The Giants go to Tampa Bay. A big one here at the Vet in Philadelphia. The Redskins and the Eagles, their second meeting of the season. The Rams play at Green Bay. The 49ers go to New Orleans on the first old-timers game for Saint veterans. All next Sunday, regional NFL action here on CBS. The Saints, who began the National Football League back in 1967. Who can forget that memorable day when John Gilliam, now back with the team as a wide receiver, took the opening kickoff against the Rams the very first play of the Saints in the regular season and ran it 94 yards for a touchdown. Today those old Saints will be back. Doug Atkins. Here's the pitch up the middle to the tight end Prepley on a first down, a quick throw to the slant. And it goes.
That was an excellent read by Jaworski. Noted in his tight end got the inside release. As you see him come across Fettersfield right there. And Jaworski just popped the ball in there. An excellent throw by Jaworski. He is really calling a fine ball game. So far, he's 9 for 10 for about 101 yards, 1 TD passing, and 1 TD rushing. Good day for Jaworski.
And it's a first down. It is indeed a good day for Jaworski and his Eagle blocking mates who've done a big job. They go to the run, and Betterson just crashes into the left side of the Saint defense, takes the ball down to the 11. Fettersfield made the hit, but again, it's 5 yards downfield where the stop is made as the Eagles, playing power football now, take one of their 2 remaining timeouts with 1:18 left to go. You recall Jaworski took one earlier when he didn't like the looks of a Saint defense. He called a timeout, so Eagles have 1 timeout remaining. Dick Vermeil, the young coach who led UCLA to a big victory over Ohio State in the Rose Bowl at UCLA and then joined the Philadelphia Eagles under a long-term contract. Counseling his quarterback, Ron Jaworski. He came here, as you know, from the Los Angeles Rams, where he was a backup. And Vermeil and the Eagle coaching staff think he's got the ability to be an outstanding player for a long time to come.
Well, Jaworski's in a situation now with 1:18 left in the ball game, in the half, rather. The Eagles 1 timeout left, that he's going to have to go with 2 plays at a time. If one's a pass and it's incompleted, he can huddle up and call 2 more in the huddle. Or he can go with a run play the first time, come back, line up on line of scrimmage, you go with a pass, and possibly, if it's completed, get one that's going out of bounds. He has to save 1 timeout, his last timeout for the half, to bring the field goal team in to be able to kick it. He's in position to do that at this time. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Vermeil wants him to do and how they go about attacking this Saint defense with 1 minute and 18 seconds to go.
Jaworski has thrown to 6 different receivers, has completed passes to 6 different receivers, so he's taking a look at everybody when he drops back. Carmichael goes out wide to the right. Charlie Smith is to the left. 1:18 left to play. 2nd down and 5 coming up from the 10-yard line of the Saints. The Eagles lead the game here in the second quarter, 14-0. Whoop! Ed George, the right tackle, left early.
Well, that'll stop the clock.
Yeah, it will. Never started. That's right. Stop your offense, too. But the Eagles certainly executed well. The Saints have had a lot of penalties. That's only the 3rd against Philadelphia.
64 offense. False start.
You're going to have to tell Ed George when it's on 2, put 2 fingers on the ground. When it's on 1, put 1 finger on the ground, I guess.
So now the Eagles break the huddle. They have it 2nd down and 9. Ball just outside the 15-yard line. Jaworski, quick drop, puts it up, intercepted by Pat Hughes. Pat Hughes, a Boston University linebacker, spent most of his career with the New York Giants. He was their most valuable player in '74. Fills into the zone defense and is right in position to intercept, which he does.
Jaworski had a man wide open that time. All he had to do was loft the ball up over top of the head of Pat Hughes. A good interception by Hughes. The man was open. Sullivan was open down the middle of the field. All it took was a little loft by the ball. But, of course, Jaworski wanted to get it to him very quickly.
Lots of action next Saturday in the CBS Sports Spectacular. Drivers like Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty in the Atlanta International Speedway's Dixie 500. You'll also see highlights of the Pendleton Rodeo Roundup. Pendleton, Oregon, one of the big events in the rodeo competition, and the world's strongest men competition. Scott's got a throw, lofts it long. And John Gilliam comes back at the ball like good receivers do and makes a big reception, but the Saints are still a long way away with 1 minute left to go and the clock's still running.
Scott's hurt on that play. He must have, as he thrown the ball, must have hit a helmet or something coming in because he's going out with a sore hand. We're going to have to put another quarterback in, and I do not think it's going to be Archie Manning.
It looks like Bob Douglas is taking off his warm-up jacket. They have a timeout call with 56 seconds, so Hank Stram will have time to go over it. He's talking right now with Bobby Scott, who looks more like a linebacker.
Bobby Douglas, number 10 there. He is about a linebacker. He's about 6'4" and about 225, I imagine. And, of course, one time broke the all-time quarterback running. I believe he had over 1,000 yards.
972, very nearly 1,000 with the Chicago Bears.
And you talk about someone with a strong arm. He can rifle that ball 50 yards on the line and not 10 yards high, I'll tell you that.
His problem has been making a connection with somebody at the other end of that 50-yard throw.
Well, I understand he needs 10 yards. He tells the guy to get 8, and I'll get the other 2 when it hits you.
Right. You and the ball. He can break a few fingers.
Very easily.
Ball carefully wrapped. Gift wrapped for Mr. Douglas. The Eagles will probably send a blitz at him right away because they throw a lot of different pass rushes. 56 seconds, as you see, left to play in the first half. The Saints lead the game, are trailing the game 14-0. The Eagles were challenging for a third touchdown when Pat Hughes intercepted a short time ago. And now Bob Douglas and the New Orleans offense. Douglas coming into the game cold. He didn't have time to warm up. Bob Scott injuring a hand on the last throw. The completion to John Gilliam for the first down. The ball is out to the 32-yard line. I think the play here is pretty much let her rip. You can throw it long, as you said, John, and now he swings it out to Chuck Muncie. Gets out of bounds at the 37. Drew Mihalik ran him out. With 50 seconds left, he stops the clock. Saints still have 2 timeouts remaining. So Bobby Scott is forced with a lot of yardage to meet. Saints have a long way to go just to get Zarro in field goal range, but he does have 50 seconds. Tending to Bobby Scott. It looked like it was his throwing hand, his right hand. I think it's probably right, John, when you said he must have hit a helmet when he followed through.
Someone could have gotten too close to him as he followed through with it and busted his thumb, possibly, or maybe just a sprain. Hopefully not serious.
Bob Scott doesn't have much, or Bobby Douglas doesn't have much room to operate there as Carl Hairston comes through, Bill Berge comes through, and Douglas is run over.
Let's watch it. This is Douglas's fault, not the offensive blocker. Douglas ran right out to the outside where the offensive tackle was blocking his man, and those things you can't have happen. The offensive quarterback has to know where his people are. He has to be staying back into that pocket. That was Douglas's fault all the way.
The clock is running now, as you see. 32 seconds left to play in the first half. Douglas pump faking, and he is caught and thrown down. Coming in to get him was Lem Burnham. Number 67, a pass rushing specialist who's come in, and Lem Burnham is congratulated by Bill Berge. And the Saints are all the way back now to their 19 to their 23-yard line. They're going to have to punt the ball with 24 seconds left.
Douglas, at this point, of course, coming in off the bench cold as he is, he's not dropping, getting back in his pocket quickly enough in order to take advantage of what's happening downfield. He's backing out, not getting deep enough, and his offensive blocking that time did break down, but on the last 2 occasions, he did not get back into his pocket quickly enough.
Blanchard very wisely lets the clock wind down. Time runs out as far as the 30 seconds of getting a playoff. There'll be a delay of game penalty. But the Saints used all the time they could to give the Eagles as little time with the football when they punted to them. We'll be updating actions from all around the NFL at halftime, and also you'll be interested to know that Rhoda gets romantically involved with a restaurant owner, which means if nothing else, she'll eat well. So you'll see Rhoda in her usual problems tonight at 8, 7 Central and Mountain Time here on CBS. Poor Rhoda.
Poor Rhoda's in trouble, I tell you. Those restaurant owners are tough.
The punt down the field. Larry Marshall comes up, fields it in his 47, right up the middle as he always does. He is down to the 40-yard line of New Orleans, and the clock winds out. So the first half comes to an end as the Philadelphia Eagles come out of the blocks, moving the ball well against the New Orleans Saints. Running the ball at him on a sustained drive of 66 yards for the first touchdown, and then converting an interception into a drive that ended with a second touchdown when Jaworski gunned the ball low into the end zone, and Carmichael made a diving reception. And the Eagles nearly had a third touchdown, but Pat Hughes saved that for the Saints by intercepting the ball. So as we go to the locker room, John, Hank Stram has to get that blackboard out and go back to the drawing board.
He has to do that, and he has to get that defense moving. They are not getting to the Eagles' offensive man. The offensive line of the Eagles has been taking the game right to the defense, moving them back off the ball. The Eagle runners, of course, have been picking their holes, going where they want to. So far this year, the Saints really have, let the opponents gain 4.5 yards per rushing play, and that's no good. Whenever you can do that with an offensive football team, you can control the game, and it normally is going to go the way that you want it to go. Jaworski has been outstanding as far as his play calling has been this first half. He's thrown the ball well. He scored one touchdown, thrown for another, and should have had one right there, except that he threw the ball rather low, and Pat Hughes was in the way of it.
Pat Hughes stopped what might have been a touchdown drive, but the Eagles, who have had a problem all season long, not winning games because of turnovers, have countered that today. They've taken two away from the Saints on interceptions of Bobby Scott before he was injured. Then Bob Douglas came in and finished up the second quarter. It'll be interesting to see if Scott can come back in the third quarter. Archie Manning, the incumbent at quarterback, is troubled by an ankle sprain, a bad one. He can't run.
Archie can't run. Talking to him last evening and where we were staying, he said that it wasn't, not that it really bothers him when he's walking or anything, but he's just not able to put enough weight and get the push off on it to be able to run. And most of his game, as you know, Archie is an outstanding runner, just as Douglas is, and Archie throws the ball extremely well when he's on a run. So it's almost like a two-type of an offense when Archie's in there, the run-pass situation, the pass situation, and a run with Archie, moving back and forth and upsetting the defense.
So the score at halftime here at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia is the Eagles 14, the Saints nothing.
Panasonic invites you to take a picture of a voice with a Panasonic cassette tape recorder.
Things was a lot different than it is now.
All with built-in mics. Some with built-in radios. There are pocket models.
Should last another 50 years.
And even some that record in stereo.
Say something. Come on, speak something.
So take a picture of a voice with Panasonic.
Say something. Bark.
Sit tight, Pop. I'll pump myself. Let me tell you something, gang. Any gas will get you where you want to go. But it ought to be in there cleaning your carburetor, too. Now, you want to make sure you're getting the job done, use new STP gas treatment. You just pump in a can with every tank load of gas, and it goes to work cleaning like a bandit. Clean that carburetor. Get a hold of this, and do it yourself. Keep the change, partner.
I struck oil! Wing married now.
But, Billy Joe, you are dressed for a Del Rio dogfight. You'd sure look better in Hager's slacks. Or a Hager sport coat and slacks. Even a Hager vested suit. A variety of outfits you don't have to be rich to afford. Oh, Billy Joe, you look like $1 million.
Make that two.
Billy
Hager,
Joe.
because looking good makes you feel good.
Rafferty relies on unorthodox treatment when an unknown disease threatens the life of his nurse.
It hurts like hell. What's the matter with me? Brought her home to die. I can't help it. I don't want to be this way.
If you want to go, go all the way.
Join Rafferty on a life-saving mission. Monday at 10, 9 Central and Mountain.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports Spectacular presents highlights of NASCAR's 18th annual Dixie 500 with the leading stock car drivers racing for the checkered flag. The Pendleton Roundup Rodeo with Larry Mahan and Tom Ferguson heading the field of top cowboys. Plus, the world's strongest men competition featuring the vehicle pull. That's next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Nobody knows for sure whether O.J. Simpson will play again or not. If he does, then we'll all be richer. If he doesn't, then we should all be grateful for what has been. This tribute to O.J., Orenthal James Simpson, is not offered to mark the end of an era, but rather to celebrate the joy of feats already accomplished and enjoyed by millions. It's a small thank you to Orenthal James.
They say that you may be leaving, that the artist's canvas may be through. It brings much sadness and grieving, so let's hope that it won't come true. But if it is the end of the weaving, the magnificent dashes of number 32, then in a quaint small town in Ohio, I've dusted a place for you. For when they asked me what kind of runner I thought, I said, give me a man with heart, a workhorse, a racehorse, a thoroughbred who has wings on his feet for a start. Give me a man who can blaze all the way, yard lines ticking off under his cleats. A man who can grab a crowd by their coats and pull them cheering from their seats. Give me a man who'll take record books and shred them and tear them to shambles. A man who amazes and dazes the foe with his goal line to goal line rambles. But I'll not take a man of mere talent. No, mere talent is not quite enough. For the man that I choose must have something inside, something gentle and yet very tough. Is too soon done, that you have painted all the colors and hues that you can on the subject of the run. Well, if it's finished, and if it's time to fold away number 32, then in a quaint small town in Ohio, I've dusted a place for you.
Cricky with Johnny Unitas back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where the Eagles at halftime have a 14-0 lead, and they've got a very substantial performance from their quarterback, Ron Jaworski, John.
Jaworski is performing very, very well this afternoon for him. He's throwing the ball extremely well. He's thrown for 1 touchdown, scored 1 on a quarterback sneak. Should have had another touchdown right prior to the half. His whole football team, his play calling has been tremendous. He's throwing the ball to the outside and a couple screens to his outside receivers. His running game and his offensive line is doing a very, very fine job for him. And I think that's the game right there, Donald. The offensive line taking it to the defense, knocking the Saints right back off the football, and he's been doing great.
What do the Saints have to do to get back in this? There's a real overmatch in the offensive line of Philadelphia and New Orleans defensive front. They're not handling them.
Well, the offensive team of the Saints has not really held the ball whatsoever at all. And the defense, of course, has been on the field most of the time. I think the offense has got to come out and throw the ball a little bit more on first down. They've been trying to skirt the ends of the Eagles, and to no avail. They did a good job last week against the Rams by doing that, but they have not been able to penetrate the Eagles secondary or the Eagles defensive line. So I think that they're going to have to control the football in the second half if they're going to get in the ball game at all.
There are some other surprises around the NFL today. The New England Patriots were beating the Buffalo Bills. And then the Bills came back and took a lead there. We'll be back with more at this pause for station identification.
Vera becomes paralyzed and fears she is dying. Her only hope, Rafferty. Tomorrow at 10, 9 Central and Mountain on CBS.
An overcast day, temperatures in the low 50s. The wind has died down at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Eagles have moved out to a halftime advantage over the New Orleans Saints, 14-0. From New England, here's some halftime scores now. Dallas has moved out in front of the Giants, 14-3. Staubach worked the whole first half. Passed for a touchdown a short time ago with 50 seconds left in the first half to give the Cowboys that cushion. Moving elsewhere around the National Football League, San Francisco. They're playing down at Atlanta Stadium. The Buffalo Bills jumped out in front of the New England Patriots, 14-0. Then the Patriots ran back a kickoff after the second Buffalo touchdown. Raymond Claiborne, a rookie from Texas, ran it back 93 yards. Bills got a field goal from Carson Long just before the half, and Buffalo, a surprise leader in that game, 17-7. The Bills going into the game 1-6 on the year. There are two teams that don't like each other much. The Bengals and the Browns, John, and they're slugging it out at Cleveland. And they're tied up 7-7. Cincinnati went on front first. The Browns came back on, tied the game on a Brian Sight throw to Oscar Rohn. They're tied up at the half 7-7. Miami on a touchdown pass from Bob Greasy to Duriel Harris has moved in front of the Jets 7-3. The Jets have gone in front in a 36-yard field goal by Pat Leahy. Jets almost beat the Dolphins, as we pointed out 3 weeks ago. At the half at Pontiac, Michigan, the Chargers and the Lions are nowhere at this moment. They are scoreless after 2 quarters of play. Houston has moved out in front of the Chicago Bears 3-0. That is in the first quarter at the Astrodome in Houston. The Kansas City Chiefs, with a new coach, Tom Bettis, replacing the recently fired Paul Wiggin, are beating the Green Bay Packers 10-0. That is in the first quarter at Kansas City. Bart Starr going into the game with a 2-5 record at the turning point, and there's beginning to be some pressure on Bart, I think, in Green Bay.
It's surprisingly that there hasn't been some before now. That he's been doing everything he possibly can. He just doesn't have the football team that a lot of people expect him to do. Bart is an outstanding young man, and I guess any other town with that type of football team, he would probably be out.
We'll be back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia with a score of the Eagles 14, the New Orleans Saints nothing. The two teams have come back out onto the field. They'll be ready to go shortly.
Should have bought Mobil 1. The oil, it saves you gas, you know.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Helps you start at 35 below.
Should have bought Mobil 1. Engine temperature hits 500. You're cool.
Should have bought 1,000 miles.
Mobil 1, the oil that does it all. Take it from an expert.
Oh, they're engaged.
Sit close together.
Show your ring.
Take their picture.
Hold it.
Only one instant film gives you this bright, brilliant color by Kodak.
Gorgeous.
Are my eyes really that blue?
They're that blue.
Yuck.
Wait till you grow up.
There's only one way to get brilliant instant color by Kodak. With Kodak Instant Print Film.
Are my eyes really that blue?
Oh. Only one instant film gives you this bright, brilliant color by Kodak.
When we play in the Superdome for fans like ours, you want to win big. And the New Orleans Saints are getting ready to do just that. Hello, I'm Darylyn Moore, and I don't have to tell you about my town. You can just hear it. New Orleans is Bourbon Street and all that jazz. It's the French Quarter, and a city famous for pretty girls. And you don't know what having a good time means till you've been to Mardi Gras. But you know the people here work as hard as they play. They run the 3rd largest port in the world, and have made New Orleans a major oil refining and medical center. And between the good living and the hard work, they take time to be United Way volunteers. They help the mentally ill and handicapped, work in the boys' clubs, YWCA, and many other agencies funded by our United Way. New Orleans wouldn't be the same without them. For all our volunteers, we'd like to say, thanks to you, it works. For all of us, the United Way.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League. So let's take a look at how the first half broke down. Philadelphia with a substantial advantage in number of plays, 36-23, and in first downs, as you see, 13-3. Saints only passed for 27 yards, only rushed for 31, whereas the Eagles had 174 yards total offense. Time of possession decidedly in the advantage of the Eagles. 19 and a half minutes. Wilbert Montgomery and Larry Marshall now drop back for the Eagles to open the third quarter as the Saints' Richie Zarro's on the field to kick it off. 14-0, the Eagles lead. Let's see what Hank Stram has his Saints doing when they get the ball back, but we'll watch the Eagles on offense first. Marshall takes the ball to the 6, 10, 20, 25, 30. All the way out across the 35, close to the 37-yard line. Rich Motti was down to make the tackle on the play for the Saints. So the Eagles, on another good return by Larry Marshall, get fairly good field position, John.
It's too much of a return. The special teams have got to do better than that. Get down and force that wedge, break it up somewhere so they don't get as much yardage. They had a good blocking on that kickoff return by the Eagles. The wedge did an excellent job. Marshall returning it to the 36-yard line.
Carmichael is tight to the left now. Krefley's the tight end to the right. Lone wide receiver out to the right side is Charlie Smith. Jaworski goes to Sullivan. He hasn't had much luck against the New Orleans defense. Saints throw him back. Joe Fetterspiel, the middle linebacker, and Jim Merlo backing the line on the left side. We're on the stop. Merlo, Fetterspiel, and Hughes, the linebackers. Hollard, Price, Moore, and Grooms, the front four. Jackson and Chapman at the corners. Christ is at one safety. He's the free safety. Jimmy Stewart is the other.
The Eagles have been working on Chapman most of the afternoon. They scored a touchdown on him with Carmichael making a diving catch, and then both quick screen passes to the outside men have been against Chapman, number 24.
Second down and 9 coming up. Jaworski on a bootleg takes a look, fires it up. Krefley, the tight end, is open, and then comes up with the ball and gets ahead for 7 more yards down to the 43-yard line of New Orleans. A well-done play, good play, faking again by Jaworski, set it up.
Let's take a look at it here as we fakes the ball to Sullivan, hides the ball on his hip, comes out running, and there's the throw to Krefley, who slipped actually going down to get the ball, picks it up and picks up some good yardage. Fine call by Jaworski and some good ball handling. 21 yards on that play.
Really nice ball handling. Our producer Bob Rowe informs us that Bobby Scott, the latest report from the New Orleans team doctors, is suffering from a bruised thumb on a throwing hand, and it is questionable at this point whether or not he'll return in the third quarter. We'll have to see if it loosens up for him as Betterson runs the ball now for the Philadelphia Eagles down to the 40-yard line. That'll bring up a second down, about 8. On the stop was Jim Merlo and Joe Fetterspiel. Miami's now in front of the Jets, John, 14-3.
Let's take a look at Fetterspiel here and watch his actions on this play. Fetterspiel, as he sees the play forming, back up, playing his keys, back up and making the tackle on Betterson, number 34. He's been an outstanding runner this afternoon for the Eagles.
Betterson, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, a slashing runner, hits the hole very quickly. He says that's his strongest suit. They give me room to go. He said, I'll be in there in a hurry. Jaworski takes a long look at the New Orleans defense, hands off to Betterson. Again, Betterson tries to juke up the middle, dances to the outside. He's cut down by the Saints. Chris came up, and Pat Hughes was also on the stop. A lot of the tackles, John, on the runs are coming from, there's that Miami score, are coming from the secondary.
Well, that's no good. You don't like your safety men to have to make most of the tackles. Chuck Chris that time ended up faking on a blitz situation and then just dropping back as a play formed. And again, the offensive line of the Eagles is doing a job on that defensive line. They just don't seem to be getting off the football.
Carmichael wide right. Charlie Smith is wide left. High set in the backfield. Now they shift into an open set. Saint linebackers jump in. Jaworski rolls it out, puts it up. Didn't have quite enough on it. Krefley, the tight end, was open, but it came in a little bit low. Krefley's a good football player. They felt that he could take over for the big guy that played out his option, ultimately went out to the Los Angeles Rams in the trade for Jaworski. And then Krefley has come on so very well. His statistics are substantially better than what the Eagles have had in there at tight end in the recent season.
Krefley is 2 for 32 yards and should have had, that ball should have been completed to him by Jaworski. It was a poor throw by Jaworski. It looked like he may have been in a little of a hurry to get it to him.
Charles Young, through the first half of the season last year as the tight end for the Eagles, had almost no receptions. Krefley's been a real factor. There's a great punt. Nicely done by the Philadelphia Eagles, Spike Jones, as he hits that low punt and rolls it out of bounds inside the 7-yard line. So the Saints get the ball back, but they're deep in their own area.
With the price of most things going up, The sticker price of Pinto, the best-selling American small car, is coming down. As of October 3rd, new 78 model Pintos with more standard features will have a lower sticker price than last year's model comparably equipped. Important features are now standard, like AM radio, power front disc brakes, rear window defroster, tinted glass, and protective body side moldings. Ford Pinto, more car for the money than last year. When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
Who is the #1 investment firm in the East? Who is the #1 investment firm in the Midwest? Who is the #1 investment firm in the South? Who is the #1 investment firm in the West? You know who. Merrill Lynch. All around America, more investors turn to Merrill Lynch than any other investment firm. Sure, there are lots of investment firms, but there's only one Merrill Lynch.
The well-shined shoes of the officials standing guard over the ball. And tonight, or tomorrow night, at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, it is Logan's Run here on CBS. The impact of Star Wars. Tomorrow night, Logan, Jessica, and Ren stumble onto an SOS that's 200 years old, left by some people suspended in animation. Here is now Chuck Muncy coming right up the middle to the 10-yard line. And Muncy hits ahead for about 3 yards as the Saints run the ball right out, trying to get some room to operate here, John.
Not much field position back there for Bobby Douglas. It'd be interesting to see whether or not he goes to the air more than what Bobby Scott did, or would they concentrate on their running game. They were so successful with it last week against the Rams, that they could possibly, in this kind of a position, stay with it.
Just the way the trend of the game is going for the Saints to get back in it, you almost think that Scott not being in the game, Douglas is going to start to have to throw and hit. This Eagle defense has been awfully tough to sustain a long ground-out offense against. Let's watch Chuck Muncy now. Let's take a close look at him come out and get the ball.
He's an outstanding back. He's sort of a glider. Watch him as he goes into the line. As you see him just kind of sliding from his right to his left, and takes a real good shot by Bill Berge, number 66. Bobby Scott, we just again has some bruised thumb, and we mentioned that earlier. Hopefully it's nothing but a bruised thumb and not fractured, so he will be well to play next week.
Jaworski, of course, the E quarterback, had the same problem against the Dallas Cowboys. He sustained a thumb fracture in his throwing hand, has played ever since. Even played in that game the rest of the way. Galbraith runs, and the Eagles shut it down, and the Saint punting unit comes out.
Well, they stayed on the ground that time and looked like to no avail at this point. It's 3rd down, it's 4th down, and the Eagles are going to have to punt. Tommy Blanchard coming back out on the field. The Eagles have been up to stopping them, and you see Bill Berge now telling his team that no flipping or anything like that. Don't give them the ball back. Let us control the game.
And again, that very dangerous punt returner, Larry Marshall, is standing in position to bring the ball back into the Saint area of the field. He's standing at his 44. Blanchard will hit the ball somewhere around the 5-yard line for New Orleans. Houston now leads the Bears 10-0. Blanchard, very high spiral, a well-hit ball, but it'll come back. Here is Marshall right up the middle, and he gets it across midfield, and as he does, a penalty marker goes down. Kim Jones was down to make the hit on special teams for New Orleans. We have 9:58 left to play in the 3rd quarter here at Vet Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles leading as they did at the half, 14-0. There's the signal against the Eagles on the return.
There's a 42-yard punt by Tom Blanchard, which matches his average for the year, hitting 42.8 and leads the NFC in punts. And there's something that the Eagles did not want to happen. And here's the official
on the run back,
call.
31, Philadelphia, personal foul.
Wilbert Montgomery, who is blocking on the play, is called for the clip. So the Eagles are set back to their 36-yard line. 1st and 10, they have the ball.
Got a whole sideline here to work.
Jaworski, after a long count, gives off to Herb Lusk. And Lusk turns the corner, and there he is caught and knocked down by Ernie Jackson. Not a big cornerback, 5'9", 170 pounds, out of Duke. Consistent one.
Jim Merlo played that very well that time, getting at the line of scrimmage and just playing off on the offensive men coming out. Look at Buffalo over New England, 24-7 in the third period. Would you believe that?
A lot of people are calling the Bills bums this week after that bad loss and the depression of an O.J. Simpson being gone for the rest of the season. The Bills said, now it's us against them. Let's get after them. They're beaten a heavily favored New England by a 24-7 score in the third quarter. They're playing at the Patriots' home arena, Foxborough. A little high was that throw, huh?
Well, I think it was high on purpose. I think that Jaworski saw number 54 coming up, Pat Hughes coming up on his offensive receiver, Betterson, out there, and decided to overthrow it, get it out of bounds instead of trying to force the ball in or maybe coming up with an interception. Hughes was in very fine position that time to intercept it, and Jaworski did wisely throw it away.
So the Eagles come out of the huddle now with 3rd down and 9 coming up. The ball at the Eagles' 37-yard line. Saints bring those backs up. Linebackers threaten to come. Jaworski gets time. Home run ball. Smith is out there, but it's too long. Had a step on the defense, but Jaworski released it, and then he was leveled by big Alois Grooms. Jaworski went down hard, and now the Eagles will have to punt the ball back to the Saints. Bobby Scott, who started the game for the Saints, went out in the second quarter after bruising his thumb, throwing a football, a long completion late in the second quarter. Bobby Douglas came in, and he's been working for the Saints on offense, their first possession here in the third quarter. Eagles leading the game 14-0. Spike Jones, their punter, drops back inside his 25. Hits the ball, a knuckler, high end over end, and Mouty is signaled into a fair catch. Free football. Mouty has it. Penalty marker is down.
I believe we'll have interference on a fair catch by one of the Eagle players as he had to move up on the ball. He has the right to signal for the fair catch, and they have to permit him to make that catch, even if it means coming up through the man.
Vince Papali is the guy who was down there covering.
Will you see what the official calls?
Yep, you got it. Fred Silva, the referee, calls an interference call against the Eagles, so the Saints will have the ball farther upfield now. Here's Mouty.
See you take a look at Papali there, number 83, as he actually slides into the receiver, hooks his leg. The receiver cannot get to the football, so it's interference with a fair catch.
Philadelphia, interference with the right to make a catch. First down now.
So the ball has now moved out to the 40-yard line, and there will be 1st and 10 for the Saints. Bob Douglas is at quarterback. John Gilliam's one wide receiver. Don Herman is the other. They go to Muncie. He can motor. 6'3", 220. He's got the speed of a fleet back. He can really go.
Emmanuel Zanders, number 79, out there trying to give him a little convoy around the end, but they moved it out. The defense played fairly well. They come up with a 2nd and 5 situation. And they are continuing to stay on the ground, trying to run the ends as they did last week against the Rams.
So now it's going to be 2nd down coming up. 2nd down and about 5. Detroit has moved out in front of San Diego. 7-0. Game scores for the first 2 quarters. Here's Muncie again. Power sweep to the right. This time the Eagles come in and submarine it. Coming up was John Outlaw, who has an interception. You recall that ball he took away earlier in the game. And Outlaw comes in to cut down the runner, and that'll bring up 3rd down and about 4 now for New Orleans at the Saints 46.
Muncie's kind of upset at someone. He's giving them a little hot air out there. Nobody's able to knock anyone down and give him some room to run in. Muncie with 10 carries and 29 yards so far this afternoon.
Muncie, like Bob Greasy, wears glasses right in the football game. Douglas, a left-hander, gets ready to gun it, puts it up. Came in low, but did he catch the ball? Apparently they're going to rule that Tony Galbraith caught the ball. Nice reception right off his shoe tops.
Watch a catch by Galbraith.
Got it.
Galbraith last week did not catch a pass. It's only the 2nd time in 21 games that he did not catch a pass in a ball game. He is 5th in the league in the NFC with reception with 25.
Right. That was his 26th. So now the Saints have the ball at the 49-yard line. Only their 4th first down up. 1st and 10, 7 minutes left to play in the third quarter. The Eagles continue to lead at the end of the half, 14-0. Galbraith works ahead for some tough yardage. Only about 3 into the heart of the Eagle defense. You've got to go over that big middle guard, Charlie Johnson, and Manny Sistrunk, 79, who's big enough to bench press Veterans Stadium. He's also on the stop.
If the New Orleans going to do it, I think they're going to have to believe they're going to have to mix up their calls on a first down situation. They've been predominantly run on first down situations, and the Eagles, knowing that, are up there very, very tight.
Back to live action. Out in the flat, they go to John Gilliam, wide receiver screen, and he's ahead for a first down to the 37-yard line. Carl Hairston finally made the tackle as the New Orleans Saints go into the Eagle playbook a little bit. Philadelphia's been using that play with some success in the first half.
Fine play by Bobby Douglas, faking the pitch out back to his right, getting everyone drawn over in that direction, and then coming back with a quick screen with his offensive tackle and guard pulling out this way to block downfield. That play should have picked up more yardage than what it did.
In that San Francisco-Atlanta game, Wilbur Jackson ran for the 49ers touchdown to give them the 7-0 lead. A collision before the ball was snapped by John Hill.
You don't know whether offensive man moved or defensive man encroached on it.
Illegal motion is called against the Saints, and they'll step them back 5 yards. That makes it tough. Instead of 1st and 10 at the 36, they now have a 1st and 15 at the 41.
Douglas passing.
Ball start.
3 for 3, Douglas is 21 yards.
I bet he still has that habit of forcing that ball down in low, as we saw against with Galbraith making that last catch.
Penalties starting to even off now. New Orleans had a big disadvantage. They had 6 penalties at 60 yards against just 2 for 10 yards. Philadelphia midway in the second quarter. Muncie weaving free football. Eagles have it. Philadelphia Eagles recover the ball as Berge comes out, shaking fists. Muncie lost the ball into the heart, and the Eagles jumped on it very quickly.
Let's take a look at Muncie as he comes in, hits into a pile of his own men, and gets wrapped real hard.
It's like Mihalik, a linebacker, got the ball. 54.
Got his arm into the pile. Let's take another look at it here. See Berge starting to his left. There's the hit right there by Mihalik. Good hard hit coming up from behind.
So the former Notre Dame co-captain Drew Mihalik gets the ball back for a 3rd time on a turnover against the Saints.
We're the Van Arsdales, Tom and Dick. We're identical twins, and we drink identical beers. Light beer from Miller. We love it. The best thing about light beer is it's great filling. Great taste. Less filling. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. Great taste, Tom. Less filling. And I'm not Tom. You are. I'm Dick. You think you are, but you never were.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
You get to be the superstar in renting car when you've got the kind of people who can get things ready, even before you get there. Hertz has more of them than anyone. People who want to get their job done fast and who can put out that extra effort when things get busy.
Go, Hertz, go.
People who know the most important thing is getting each customer away fast into a reliable Ford or other fine car. Come to Hertz.
The superstar in rent-a-car.
You know it.
Be here Sunday when Archie gets hooked on uppers.
Oh, this is gonna wake up the neighbors.
Hi, neighbors.
Sunday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Carl Hairston. Now here's a great look on replay of how that fumble occurred. You'll see Muncie dance into the gap here. Carl Hairston, 78, comes over. Here he comes. Bang. Big forearm. He just knocks that ball clean. And then Mihalik, 54, dives in among a lot of people and gets the ball. And now we're back to live action as the Eagles have the ball 1st and 10 at their 38. They go right to the run with a 14-0 lead, and time winding down in the 3rd quarter. We have 5:35 to play in it. Derlin Moore made the tackle on Jim Betterson.
That fumble was only the 5th time, or the 8th time the Saints fumbled. That was the 5th one that they lost for the 7 or 8 ball games that they've played.
And that's right. Chuck Muncie fumbled for the first time this year in last week's game against the Rams. He'd handled the ball 124 times before that fumble. Now he has his 2nd today. So the Eagles lead the takeaway, turnover stat 3-1. They have 2 interceptions now to fumble recovery. Pitch back goes. Sullivan races ahead on a 2nd down and 5 and gets close to a 1st down. He got the ball out to the 48-yard line, very near to a 1st down, perhaps close enough to measure. Lots of NFL regional action next Sunday here on CBS. The Falcons currently trailing the San Francisco 49ers 7-0, play the Detroit Lions. Atlanta in the lead with Los Angeles in the NFC West at the moment. The Giants go to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay playing at Los Angeles today. They could be 0-22 in the NFL following today's game. Washington and Philadelphia, that's a big matchup here at the Vet next Sunday. The Rams go against the Packers at Green Bay. The San Francisco 49ers go to New Orleans. Tickets are still available for that game. And it is Alumni Day. All the great Saints of old will be back. Some amazing people in those Saint teams of old. Books could be written about the Saint teams of old. Volumes. Sullivan turns the corner, and the Saints are quickly there to knock it down for no gain. On a 1st down carry, Jimmy Stewart, the little strong safety out of Tulsa in his 1st year, made a hard hit.
Chapman, number 24, up very fast in his corner position, forcing it back to the inside with some real good pursuit from the defensive people. Chicago 0, Houston 17 in the 2nd period.
Oh, you try to figure out the Bears, and you have to go some. They waxed Green Bay last week, 26-0 at Green Bay. Getting blasted this week. New Orleans knocked Chicago all over its home field a few weeks ago.
Up and down season for a lot of football teams.
Derlin Moore left early, but we'll see if he was drawn offside by any motion in the offensive line. Derlin Moore started to come early. Preliminary signal is against the Saints, so instead of 2nd and 10, it'll be 2nd and 5.
Good defensive player has to keep an eye on that football and notice when it's moving.
74, encroachment.
They only marked off 4 yards. Saints are happy about that.
They'll take them anywhere they can get them at this point, won't they?
You're not kidding, John. Anything you can get, you take. We now have 3:49 to play in the 3rd quarter. Ron Jaworski. Strong-arm young man with a lot of courage from Lackawanna, New York, and Youngstown State. Hands off to Tom Sullivan. And Sullivan gets inside the 45 and down to the 44. Stewart was out tackle.
Ernie Jackson on that play, coming up and forcing everything back to the inside. As we see Ernie coming to the outside right here. Betterson on the block as you see Sullivan coming back inside. Real fine play by the defense of the Saints that time. Good flow of the defense coming on over as the play developed.
So now we have 3rd down and just over 2 to go for the 1st down for the Philadelphia Eagles. The ball just inside the New Orleans 45. 3rd quarter, 14-0 Eagles. Jaworski, the Polish rifle, takes a look and didn't have much on it. There's a penalty marker down. We might have a hold against the Eagles. Saints got the good rush coming. Pollard was coming on strong, as was Alois Grooms from the other end.
Jaworski did not look like he was in good position to throw that football. He didn't step toward his receiver. Of course, it could have been that the rush was in there too tightly on him, and football was thrown low into the ground.
A lot of surprises
64
this day.
offense, holding.
Ed George was holding.
Ed George, a veteran football player, the Canadian League, played with Baltimore a few times. Take a look at Ed George, see if we cannot spot the holding penalty. There it is right there. Oh, sorry, honey, I missed you. On Tom Pollard. Holding on Pollard. I guess I can't blame him. He doesn't want his quarterback to get hurt. I love those kind of tackles.
George says, I wasn't holding, it only looked like it. Here is the punt now by Spike Jones. End over end, he aims it out of bounds. Boy, he can hit the football. Isn't that something? All the way down to the 3-yard line. Spike Jones has done a big job for the Eagles on his home field. He knows this field. He hits a low punt and rolls them right into the corners. And the Saints come out with the ball, but a very poor field position.
Under hazardous road conditions, and if it's badly worn, it can fail to stop on wet pavement.
Remember, your tire safety depends on tire wear and load, on where and how you drive, and on carefully checking for proper inflation when tires are cold with an accurate gauge like this one, because even an expert can't tell by just looking, especially with radial tires. If you don't look after your tires, you're looking for trouble.
There is some good boxing coming up on CBS when Leon Spinks, that unbeaten young heavyweight who was a gold medalist for the U.S. Olympic team at Montreal, goes against Alfio Righetti on Friday night, November 18th at 11:30 p.m. It'll be Leon Spinks against unbeaten Alfio Righetti. He's 27-0, the Italian heavyweight champion. And now the Saints huddle in their end zone. This is Don Criqui with John Unitas on CBS from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles continue to lead 14-0. Muncy gets the ball, and he is quickly popped. Frank LeMaster, 55, a Kentucky linebacker, came crashing in. Yep, he's a little bit war-torn.
Muncy, I think he does need a new jersey. You're going to have to get one from Hank Stram over there.
Muncy put Hank back on his heels a little bit when he came in and said he didn't really find an apartment he thought was suitable. He thought he'd commute from California to the Saints practices his rookie year. Henry said, timeout. Douglas throws. The ball is caught by Gilliam. He's still got the good hands. John Gilliam in his 11th year. Catches the ball at the 11-yard line. Gilliam delighted to be back where he started in New Orleans.
Fine throw by Douglas.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball well.
From his own end zone, and that's the type of thing you have to do, the short, quick stuff, inside and outside, to get some good field position. Let's watch Douglas as he sets 1, 2, 3 steps and then just fires right out to Gilliam. Fine catch by Gilliam, and of course went out of bounds, stopped the clock.
Douglas on a bootleg, and he didn't fool anybody, particularly not Drew Mahalik, 54. Mahalik was reading it all the way. He's made some big plays today for the Philadelphia Eagles, and again they stop the New Orleans Saints, and he'll have to punt the ball, and Blanchard again, Johnny, will be backed up in his end zone.
An excellent play by Mahalik because everything was going away from him. As you see, the guards pulling. His read is to stay home and then go late. He played good defensive football that time, taking care of his own responsibilities first, and then possibly helping, if he can, somewhere else later.
So the third quarter clock shows 2 minutes and 7 seconds to play in the third quarter, and Blanchard is again backed up in his end zone. Marshall standing in midfield awaiting the football. Blanchard's hit the ball high, but not deep from this end of the field. It's sticking into a gusting wind. This is a low kick. And there'll be no run back as it's down by Maudie at the 38-yard line. Vince Papale and Maudie exchange pleasantries. Now it gets a little heated. We have a timeout on the field. The Eagles continue to lead the football game 14-0.
It took it all. Bitter cold. 120 degrees. 5 dead batteries. Nearly 4 hours with the lights on. 3 months on a frozen lake. And now it's maintenance free. The Die Hard, sold only at Sears.
In stage 1 of my life, I couldn't stand dull wheels. I'm the same in stage 2 with my new 78 Ford LTD2, the trimmer, sportier LTD at a trimmer price. The LTD of mid-size cars. If you're a sporty guy who appreciates the finer things in life, welcome to stage 2.
Isn't it you in that LTD2? You'll never know till you try.
Welcome to LTD2.
A better idea from Ford.
The king of the stocks, Richard Petty, leads the field along with Cale Yarborough and the Dixie 500 from Atlanta International Raceway next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. Rodeo action from Pendleton, Oregon, and then continuation of the World's Strongest Men competition. Last week they were throwing tires yesterday, like Frisbees.
Now this week I think they're going to pull a freight car. If that doesn't give them a hernia, nothing will, I'll tell you that.
2 of them have gone out with injuries that have required surgery. Herb Lusk runs the ball right into the Saint defense, gets it inside the 35-yard line. 2 of those World's Strongest Men, one guy popped an elbow, another guy had a knee injury. It's mean when you start throwing buildings around.
One of those fellas, I know Jack Patera would love to have play for him in Seattle. That's his brother.
One of those fellas does play for Coryell, Bob Young, the big offensive guard. He's in the World's Strongest Men. That's all next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. In the live action, watch Jaworski on 2nd down and 6. Jaworski takes a look. Lots of time. Guns it down. Whoa! A Saint had a play on the ball. Jimmy Stewart. But there's a penalty marker down, and it looks like the Saints are starting to generate the big rush, and the Eagles are having to hold to keep him off Jaworski.
Well, just sitting back on a 14-0 lead, but there's no reason to start playing that way. We'll be interested to see whether that may be George again, blocking on Pollard, who's been doing a fine job on him. Let's listen to the official as he gives us the reason.
64 offense.
Here we go. Let's watch it again.
Let's take a look at it. Jaworski going back into his pocket. Not much pressure. Plenty of time to throw. Ed George doing a fine job. There's the throw. That one went right between the arms of one of the linebackers, and that's what you call an option ball. You have either end to catch. Look at point down the field.
That one almost quacked, didn't it?
Almost an end-over-ender.
Pedersen gets a swing pass and comes colliding down to the one. He took it in for a touchdown. Later, he fired a touchdown pass to big Harold Carmichael, who on a post pattern dove and caught it just off the ground. 2 extra points by Horst Buhlman. It's a 14-0 game. That's how it stands. Eagles with a big lead, content to run the clock. Quick fire to Carmichael. Jaworski's got a gun on him.
I tell you, Donald, if we get a chance to see that, take a look at Jaworski's reaction. It was a fine throw because he had a man free who was on him when he threw the football. The ball was perfectly thrown to Carmichael. He just did not want the football. That's all there was to that. Take a look at it again. It deserves another shot. As you see, he's in there right away. Ball was perfectly thrown to Carmichael. I believe he was looking for a defensive back to Ernie Jackson to pop him right in the snoot, which he got.
Got a good straight-on shot. Now Spike Jones again angles his punt. He's got a style all his own, but it sure works. He rolls that ball right down, and again he is inside the 10-yard line. This one rolls out on the 7. So Jones is averaging 37 yards on 5 punts. I don't recall one being returned, no. Net yardage is excellent. The leader in the league is just over 36 yards, and he's got 5 going now, 37 net. In this game today, with 13 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, the Saints get back the ball, but John, they can't get good field position to get started with anything.
They've had bad field position the last few times, and Bobby Douglas coming back into quarterback to see if he can change up that first down situation. If they stay true to form, they'll have Muncie going off right tackle and see where they go. They have not thrown the ball that often on first down situations. I've always felt that you have to do that to keep that defense off balance.
Bobby Douglas in for shaking up Bobby Scott. Throws the ball down. Oh, he threw it right to the wrong guy. It is picked off by John Sanders. He has 2 today. And John Sanders runs the ball right back inside the 10-yard line. So it comes right back at the Saints, right to Sanders. He has 2 interceptions today.
Well, here's a one time to go to first down, but I don't believe Bobby Scott even saw Sanders, even took a look at him. He was going all the way with Gilliam back to the inside, looked at him all the way from the line of scrimmage. Another thing you can't do, defenses are taught, play the quarterback's eyes wherever he's looking. He can't throw it where he's not looking. That's exactly what Sanders did. Moved right out in the middle of the play, picked it off, and now it's Eagles ball, 1st and 10 on the 7.
25-yard return by John Sanders, a 3rd-year defensive back from South Dakota. And now the Eagles are challenging again on their 4th turnover takeaway from the Saints. Jaworski play faking. No, he gives the ball to Pedersen, who hits down close to the 5 and gets about 2. Saints fill those gaps now very quickly. The linebackers filling. Chris came up. And there is the gun. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. The Philadelphia Eagles 14, the New Orleans Saints nothing. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Jack's first crush on a girl could be shattered by a divorce. Strange doings on the Fitzpatricks, Tuesday night on CBS.
We We are set to go as we open the fourth quarter with Johnny Unitas. This is Don Criqui back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles leading the game as they did at the half, 14-0, but now they have the ball at the 6-yard line of New Orleans. And it is 2nd and goal coming up. Let's see what Jaworski does. He is splitting his wide receivers. Big Harold Carmichael to the right. He's against Ernie Jackson. Short and fast. Charlie Smith is to the left. Right up the middle. They get it down close. Maybe, John, he's just going to put it in point-blank field goal range because 17 points pretty much puts this game out of reach unless the Saints can strike long.
Well, the type of offense the Saints have had all day long is really nothing. And in all fairness to that defense, the Saints' offense has not helped the defensive football team whatsoever.
Looked like the tight end Krefli down there.
Let's take a look at the play. You see Sullivan coming in, Betterson ahead of him on a block. There's a try for the tackle. But in all fairness to the defensive football team of the Saints, you would have to say that their offense has not helped them. They've been on the field 3/4 of the time this afternoon, and you can't keep a defense on the field.
That's a good point.
That time.
They've been out there a lot. Although it is a good day to play football, temperature about 50 degrees, kind of a damp day. Krefli, the tight end, is down right now. Apparently somebody fell on his left leg and injured his left knee as he was going down. We're going to break a break right now with 14:49 left to go, and the Eagles leading 14-0 and challenging again.
Cold night, Bob. Did you put in the Prestone antifreeze?
Prestone, Prestone. Who needs Prestone?
Prestone. You need Prestone.
If your antifreeze is worn out or you don't have enough, you could be in trouble. So put in a fresh fill of Prestone, too, to prevent corrosion and freeze-ups.
Prestone! We need Prestone!
Prestone. You need Prestone.
Why are men switching from aerosol hairsprays to Vitalis Super Hold Pump Spray?
The pump? Because it doesn't spray any aerosol propellants.
The pump? Well, it costs less to use. Save money.
It's because the pump is stronger. It can hold longer than the best-selling aerosol.
The pump. Vitalis Super Hold Pump Spray. Now with an even finer spray. Why don't you switch from your aerosol to...
The pump. The pump.
Judd Hirsch guest stars as Rhoda has a new romance.
Dinner to a drive-in movie, make out a little bit.
Yeah, last night. Sensational.
Watch Rhoda Sunday night.
Keith Krefli, the tight end of the Eagles, going out. Fortunately, walked off under his own power. Didn't appear to be too seriously hurt. Back up is Richard Osborne, a big tight end out of Texas A&M. He's in the game now as we have 3rd and goal from just inside the 5. Eagles with the ball in a 14-0 lead in the fourth quarter. Walk pass, touchdown, from Southern University. Boy, that looks like his little brother.
There's a little bit of a mismatch right there with Carmichael playing over Clarence Chapman, and that was just a pitch and catch as Carmichael took one step to the inside, froze Chapman, and then Jaworski just hung the ball up in the air. That's all there was to it. 1, 2, 3, hang it high, let me go get it. And there she see it. An easy mismatch. Carmichael on Chapman. Make him that easy as just pitch and catch. Donald.
That's all there was to it. When you're that tall, you can reach one hand up there like picking an apple. Horst Muhlmann drives it through. He is a world-class soccer player, Horst Muhlmann, from West Germany, and drives it through, and so 21 points are up on the board today, and they're all Philadelphia's as the Eagles have command of the game with 14:46 left to play.
Oh, another all-nighter for the old workaholic, huh?
Somebody's got to get the work out.
Many people drive themselves too hard, and it's putting the cost of health care under a lot of stress. Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans have programs to hold costs down, but everybody needs to help.
I hear you're working on a transfer.
Huh?
Yeah, to that big office in the sky.
When you overtax yourself, we all pay for it.
All of us helping each other. Energy for a stronger America.
A
lot of the oil and gas under America's land has been found, and our known resources are dwindling. Right now, we're using nearly twice as much oil as we're producing, and considerably more than we're finding. This is why Exxon researchers continue to look beyond conventional sources for more energy, including ways to harness solar power, in order to provide more energy for our strong America.
The Eagle Dancers are all revved up here with a 21-0 lead in the fourth quarter. And now back for New Orleans, Rich Motti, number 84, and Clarence Chapman, who was just beaten deep by the big fella, Harold Carmichael, for the third touchdown of the game. Carmichael has 2 from Jaworski. Ball's picked up by Chapman. Skittering his way up the field, he proceeds across the 35 and is promptly smashed. There will be first down for the Saints. Lots of boxing coming up on Friday night, November 18th at 11:30 Eastern Time. Leon Spinks, the gold medal winner for the U.S. at Montreal, against unbeaten Italian heavyweight champion Alfio Righetti, who has a record of 27-0, has KO'd 14. That'll be live on Friday night, November 18th at 11:30 Eastern Time, 10:30 Central, here on CBS.
33, Philadelphia, after a dead ball, first down.
There is Bobby Douglas, the big guy from Kansas in his 9th year in the National Football League. 6'4", 225 pounds. Mike Strawn is in his offensive backfield. We had the penalty marker down, but they were offsetting, so we'll have the ball at the 38-yard line, and there the Saints will go 1st and 10, needing points very badly to get back in it. We're early in the fourth quarter. Douglas throws hard and hits Tony Galbraith, who almost broke it. Galbraith turning upfield, read very nicely and looked for a lane and got through and almost took it a long way. He got it down to the 45 as it was, 15 yards.
Edwards on the tackle, and Douglas comes up with a fine throw to Galbraith. Watch the move that Galbraith makes after he catches the ball here to full 2 men back to the inside. Berkey, as you see, way off balance, figured that Galbraith was going inside. Galbraith almost broke it all the way, a 17-yard completion.
Herman Edwards was the man who finally made the stop. Douglas takes a look again, fires it again, and he has Mike Strawn at the 40-yard line. So Bobby Douglas now starts to look over his secondary receivers and drill the ball to him.
Good protection by his offensive line as we see Bobby Douglas fading back in the pocket, looking it over. Outstanding blocking, coming back to a secondary receiver. There it is, pitch and catch.
That's all you have to do if you're open. Unfortunately for the Saints, some of the pitching has been caught by the Philadelphia Eagles. Twice. 2nd down and 4. Strawn on a power sweep. He can run. Steve is out in front of him, 68, and Mike Strawn has a first down. Not a big back out of Iowa State, but a very quick one. Herman Edwards finally knocked him out of bounds.
Mike Strawn last week against the Rams picked up 62 yards for a 5.2 yard per carry. They have some good backs, Galbraith, Muncie, and Strawn, good, hard-running backs, and they showed what they can do last week against the Los Angeles Rams, but so far this afternoon have not been able to penetrate that Philadelphia Eagle defense.
So now it is 1st down and 10 for the Saints. As they're mounting a drive, they've not had one in some time. They go to the run, and Strawn takes it right up the middle, gets it inside the 20, and down to the 18-yard line. Dallas leading the Giants 21-10. Giants just scored on a 1-yard run by Bob Hammond. San Francisco looking possibly like a 3rd straight game victor. After losing their first 5, San Francisco leading Atlanta 10-3 at Atlanta. Saints just got a field goal by newly acquired Fred Steinfort to get some points up by the Falcons. Picked up Fred Steinfort, who was a high draft choice of Oakland, but was cut. Strawn on a power run comes inside the 15-yard line. He gets it down close to the 13.
They're still not out of this ball game. If they can score in this position, make it 21-7 with 12 minutes to go in the ball game. And Bobby Douglas so far has thrown the ball well. Let's take a look. Dallas 21, New York Giants 10 in the 3rd period. Surprisingly, the Giants scored 10 points after the way they played against St. Louis the other evening.
The Saints with Bobby Douglas at quarterback. Bobby Scott, the starter, went out late in the second quarter with a bruised thumb on his throwing hand, and this one had a little bit too much on it, but apparently Don Herman caught the ball before it touched the ground. He bobbled it, but he got the ball. It's going as a reception. Ball's down to the 11. Gain of about 3 yards in the play. Watch.
There we see the throw and the bobble by Herman.
You got
Very good catch. Good reaction by Don Herman. Who's an excellent receiver.
CBS cameramen don't miss much, do they? Here comes Strawn turning the corner. Down to the 8.
Good defensive play by Berge, 66 on that, is to get over there to make the tackle, and the cornerback, of course, coming up, forcing the play, holding it back in the backfield, allowing the flow to come over, defensive flow, as they read their keys and get on over to make the tackle. Look at that uniform on Muncie right there. I look like he's been through 3 wars,
Galbraith,
2 county fairs, 3 pigeon milkers, and a whole lot of other stuff.
He looks like a surrealistic bird out there. Here is the touchdown throw. So the Saints finally get points up. They go to their tight end, and Henry Childs comes down with the first points of the game for New Orleans, and they trail 21-6.
And that's Henry Childs' 5th touchdown pass this season. He was tied at the beginning of this ball game with Harold Jackson and Sammy White. An excellent reception and a fine throw by Bobby Douglas would put the first points on the board for the New Orleans Saints. It's now 21-7 after the conversion. Maybe.
You're assuming that Zarro is going to hit that. He has. He's been very, very strong on them. A Harvard grad, born in Poland. He's got it. And so, Douglas, if he can keep connecting, has time to get the Saints right back in it. With 10:52 left to play in the game, the score is Philadelphia 21 and New Orleans 7.
Inside this new Firestone radial tire is an improved steel cord with 5 million miles of developmental testing. Where once we used 5 strands, we now use 10 strands of steel. 7 around 2, wrapped by 1. A cord construction so important, Firestone named the tire for it. 7, 2, 1. The new steel-belted radial 721. Now, from Firestone.
I had my own way of tackling. I used to grab the whole backfield. Then I threw guys out until I found the one with the ball. When I started drinking beer, I did the same thing. And this is the one I'm holding on to. Light beer from Miller. It has 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. It's less filling, and it tastes terrific, too. I also love the easy opening can.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Bill Friel, our spotter, points out an interesting observation. Just 2 years ago, Richie Zarro of the New Orleans Saints was place kicking for the Philadelphia Bell of the World Football League right at nearby John F. Kennedy Stadium. There's more players on the field than there were people in the stands. Bell was out there.
That's the times when you went up and shook hands with everyone in the stands and introduced yourself.
Times the game start whenever you want it. Right up the middle, and the Eagles' Larry Marshall brings it out to the 34-yard line, knocked down by Marv Montgomery. A big person. The Sports Spectacular features one of the premier events in big-time stock car racing, the Dixie 500. You'll see that next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll also see highlights of the Pendleton, Oregon Roundup Rodeo. They really get after it out there. And then the World's Strongest Men competition. All next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. First and 10. Handoff. The Eagles running the ball. They're looking to use that clock. Shows 10:35 to play and running. Herb Lusk got the call. They call Herb Lusk there, number 32, the Pray and Tell back. The son of a Baptist minister, played at Long Beach State. After he scores a touchdown, he kneels in the end zone. Good football player.
A lot of us ought to do more a whole lot kneeling rather than the end zone.
Right. It's a good place to kneel. Tough to get in that end zone this league.
Has been tough this afternoon for the Saints until just recently.
The pitch back to Lusk. And he is knocked down at the 40, got a yard. That was all. Knocking him down was Derlin Moore and Bob Pollard.
Good play by Ernie Jackson that time as we watched Lusk take the pitch. Watch Ernie Jackson, number 30, come up and force Lusk to go back to the inside as we see the tackle being made by a host of New Orleans Saints.
So now we have 9:34 left to go in the game. As you see, 3rd down and 4 is coming up for the Eagles. They're content to run the clock as best they can, looking to sustain the offense, grinding out the first down, keep those yard markers moving. They have control of the game, 21-7. Jaworski checked off. He lets her rip. There's a man out there. Oh, Charlie Smith, who's a burner, ran on a fly pattern. He checked off and called for a fly when he saw those defensive backs come up tight like it was going to be an all-out blitz.
Good play by Jaworski to give it a shot, even though it was incomplete. We do have a flag on the play, and let's see which way it goes.
It's against the Eagles. Saints have 9:15 left. The Lions have gone out in front of San Diego now 20-0 in the 4th quarter at Pontiac, Michigan.
That has to be a big upset for the Detroit Lions.
Offense, delay, 3rd down.
Delay a game against the offense. Did not get the play off within the allotted 30 seconds as Jaworski was checking off. Attendance today is 53,482 here at the Vet. Carmichael comes wide left against Clarence Chapman. He looks like he could pick Clarence Chapman up and pat him on the back. He's a foot taller.
That's the place to go. If he's going to go, let's watch here what he does.
That's where he's going, my friend. Too long.
Chuck Christ up there that time, faking the blitz, came back out and played a double coverage on Carmichael, taking him short while Chapman took him deep. Ball was thrown too long, overthrown. If you're going to do anything with a man, overthrow him, never underthrow him. There's usually a man lurking short somewhere to pick it off.
New England has now come back to trail Buffalo 24-14 in the 4th quarter. Sam Bam Cunningham just ran it in from 10 yards out. But the underdog Bills are still in the lead by 10 in the 4th quarter. Mike Jones hits the ball. Mauti is back and forced into a fair catch as Papali, who is a free agent. Perhaps you've not heard the story in the Louisiana area about Vince Papali. He just came out and tried out, was playing in a minor league football around here. All of a sudden, he's captain of the Eagles special teams.
Introducing the Ford in your future. The new Ford Fairmont Wagon. A new wagon designed for today and the years ahead. The Fairmont wagon has excellent mileage ratings, but while it is trim and lean outside, Fairmont has almost 90% of the passenger space of most large wagons, and with the seat down can swallow up all this cargo. Yet for all this, the new Fairmont wagon as shown is actually sticker price less than this little VW Rabbit. Test drive Fairmont, the newest better idea from the Wagon Master.
Will the insurance fix our chimney?
Sure, after we plow through the paperwork.
It's different with Allstate.
What's different?
We have the world's largest team of claims specialists.
Don't worry about a thing.
They settle most claims like this without estimates.
No problem.
Allstate specialists are interested in you, not paperwork.
I'll call the contractor today.
Oh.
That was easy. When it takes being different to be better, Allstate will do it.
That's a promise from us, the Good Hands people.
That's how it stands in the 4th quarter here at Philadelphia. 9 minutes to go. Here is line action, and oh man, a full load of Charlie Johnson was reaped upon Chuck Muncie.
Charlie Johnson was not fooled by that fake pitch coming back to Muncie. As you see, Johnson just came in there and tore him a whole new shirt. Charlie Johnson, number 65, rookie linebacker with the Philadelphia Eagles. A fine compliment to Bill Bergey.
2nd down and 11. Douglas guns the ball. He has got a rifle, but it was almost picked off by Herman Edwards. That stops the clock with 8:25 to go in the game. The Eagles continue to lead at 21-7. They led at the half 14-0. Scored in the 4th quarter to go up 21-0. Then the Saints scored their last possession on a throw from Bobby Douglas to tight end Henry Childs. Next week, when the Saints return to New Orleans to the Superdome, it will be their first alumni day. All those great old Saints will be back. Lou Cordellione. Who can forget Lou Cordellione? Steve Stonebreaker. Doug Atkins.
Doug Atkins, I can't forget him. He about broke my neck 15 different times.
Here's the fire in the flat. Ooh, it looked like, no, caromed off the hands of Don Herman. Cordellione, somehow, the Hall of Fame escaped him.
Let's not be unkind to Cordellione. He wasn't a bad football player.
He was a good football player. Fine movie actor. Performed in a movie down there.
What kind?
Number 1 with Charlton Heston. I opened and closed in that one.
You did you?
Wasn't a heavy one. Blanchard now ready to punt the ball. He got it. Drills it downfield, but the Saint coverage isn't that quick. Marshall's going to bring it back. He was struck solidly. Greg Cassidy, the son of Howard Hopalong Cassidy. Miami now leading the Jets 14-10. The Jets have come back. NFL Regionals next Sunday. The Lions play the Falcons at Atlanta. The Giants go against the Buccaneers at Tampa Bay. The Eagles and the Redskins lock up here at Philadelphia's Veterans Stadium. The Rams and the Green Bay Packers meet up, and San Francisco plays the Saints at New Orleans. First down and 10. Eagles have the ball and the substantial lead in the fourth quarter, 21-7. 8:06 to play in the game. Jaworski takes a look and again goes to the run, and the Saints are looking for the run because they know that the Eagles want to run down the clock, but Jaworski has the strong arm to burn New Orleans deep if that coverage comes up too tight to play the run.
Betterson's been very impressive this afternoon. To me, it's the first time I've seen him play, and he shows me quite a bit of stamina and good leg drive, a hard-nosed football player. Not one who's going to break a ball game open for you in any position on the field, but he can go 20, 25 yards very quickly.
360.
Second back through, Tom Sullivan was on the hit. Actually, there were some Hall of Fame cuts from that in the first team. Jimmy Taylor. Go on. Paul Hornung, Dave Witzel, Elijah Nevin. Dallas now leading the Giants 24-10 as Efrain Herrera has hit a 35-yard field goal. We have 3rd down and 4 coming up. Pitch back. Goes to Sullivan. Turns the corner. He's got a first down for the Eagles. A big first down and keeps their drive alive. But there is a penalty marker down in the Eagle backfield, so we could have a call going against Philadelphia.
Sullivan hurdled one of the defenders over there. We could possibly either have a holding or a clipping penalty over. There's a holding penalty against the Philadelphia Eagles. Notified by the official. We'll get the final telling of us shortly, but that was a big play for the New Orleans Saints. Let's listen to the official.
85, holding.
Some finals starting to come in now. Detroit has beaten San Diego 20-0, a final score. Miami has prevailed over the Jets in a tight game again, 14-10, as the Dolphins up their record of 6-2 through 8 weeks of play. Coming off a 6-8 season a year ago, Eula has some cooking, said last week's loss to San Diego is the toughest of his career.
The ball game this afternoon between Buffalo and New England could be a big one for both Baltimore and Miami.
Jaworski throws, and Carmichael goes up over everybody, but it was still too high, and so the punting unit comes out. Kristen Jackson were covering for the Saints on the play. The incomplete pass stopping the clock with 6:40 left to play in the game.
Not a very good throw or call by Jaworski, hanging that ball up in the air where anyone could have come down with it. Was high, was overthrown, but we like for him to be a little bit more specific of who he's going to, where he's going to, and get it there. Just don't put it up there and hope someone gets it.
Spike Jones has punted very well. They haven't been able to return them. Stands back inside his 25. Rich Mowdy is back at the 29-yard line of New Orleans. Jones unloads it, drills it downfield. The 18, Papali missed him. Monty turns the corner and is crashed out of bounds by Osborne. And the Saints send out their offensive unit. Douglas working all the way, and there is the final from Shea Stadium in New York. The Miami Dolphins beating the Jets 14-10. And Detroit waxing San Diego 20-0.
Spike Jones on a 45-yard punt that time has been averaging just around 35 yards per punt. And he has been keeping the Saints in their own territory most of the afternoon, with coming out with poor field position most of the time.
That's been a big factor. The punting of Spike Jones has indeed kept New Orleans in poor field position to start drives. Here's a swing task. Galbraith takes it from Douglas. Berge grabs him and bear hugs him to the ground.
I tell you, once Berge gets you, you don't move anywhere. You're just at a standstill. Well, you may as well go down and don't even try to fight him. Right now we got the Saints with a quick lineup, and I think they're going to go with what they call a check with me system, and Douglas just called the place from the line of scrimmage.
Here's a blitz by Berge. Nice throw. Oh, that is picked off by Herman Edwards. John Gilliam had the ball in his fingertips. It caromed off, went up in the air, but there is a penalty marker down, although it could be very much against New Orleans as it's in their backfield, so the play would go.
Well, when it goes bad, it all goes bad. Let's look at Bobby Douglas as he sets back in his pocket. Looks at Gilliam all the way. There's the throw. Gilliam should have had that football. No excuse for missing something like that. It was not thrown very hard. Had the handle on top and everything else. He just did not concentrate on it and squeeze it.
The penalty was holding against New Orleans in their backfield, but understandably the Eagles decline it. As with 5:59 left to play, they take over possession of the ball. 1st and 10, as you see, and the ball is at the Eagle 43-yard line. Dennis Franks down to the ball at center. Jaworski calling a cool game at quarterback, gives off to James Betterson, and he busts through the crust and almost takes it the distance. As it was, he gained 17 yards. As he bangs the ball all the way out to the 40 and very nearly lost it before he went down.
I'll tell you, the blocking at the point of attack right here. Let's watch it. Excellent blocking, excellent leg drive, poor tackling on behalf of the New Orleans Saints. No one using a shoulder or hand motion. Let's clamp him. Betterson continue leg drive going through there. Shows me an awful lot this afternoon. A good, fine, hard driving back for the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, John, you're talking about a lot of teams being up and down this season. Certainly New Orleans coming off a great win over the Rams last week, and now getting beat 21-7 in the 4th quarter. A lot of it has to do with the balance in the league, I think.
I believe so, but I just can't understand how teams go up and down. You know, have a good ball game and a poor ball game. You only have 14 weeks to play, and you cannot afford, as a quarterback or a defensive football team, to have bad football games. Maybe 1 or 2 a year, but that is it. If you're going to be in that Super Bowl at the end of the year or continue to improve, you got to be improved by what mistakes you make, learning what they are, and then let's correct them.
Most of these New Orleans Saints will be at that next Super Bowl, although it's highly unlikely they'll be in it. Playing at the Superdome. 4:30 left to go in the game. Again, the Eagles go to the run as they look up at the clock between plays and watch it wind down. 4 minutes and 24 seconds left to go. Betterson was the carrier. He's gotten a lot of work today. Was hit by Derlin Moore.
I'll tell you one thing, Don, the Saints team out there on defense has to be a tired bunch of fellas. They've been out there majority of time this afternoon, and they have been run at constantly. Yeah, and you take that pounding by those big offensive linemen there, it's bound to tell toward the end of the football game.
The first half, the Eagle offense was out almost twice as long as the Saint offense. Sullivan runs with the ball, takes a hard lick on a 3rd down and 3 carry. He is short of the 1st down, advances the ball close to the 32-yard line. We'll watch Sullivan run again, and we'll watch the New Orleans defense come up to hit.
There's a good block right in the position here. Take a block there. Watch Sullivan going up. Chapman on the tackle, number 26.
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart, excuse me. Excuse me, Jimmy. Excuse me, Mr. Stewart.
Stewart's had to make a lot of tackles in that strong safety, a rookie out of Tulsa. As the Eagles have been busting the defensive front of New Orleans and getting their their backs through it. 4th down and short yarders are going for the first down, and they get it. Pedersen was hit, net, drove back the would-be tackler. Chuck Crisp came up to fill. Chapman was on the play. But the Eagles got a first down and pretty much put a lock on the game, if in fact they did not have that long ago.
I tell you, Don, whenever your safeties have to come up and make the tackles at the line of scrimmage, that, you know, your defensive line and linebackers are not doing the job at the point of attack, or either that or the offensive team of the Philadelphia Eagles is doing a great job on the line of scrimmage. And Chuck Crisp, I'm sure, has made quite a few tackles this afternoon, as has Chapman and Stewart and Ernie Jackson on the other corner.
Swing pass. Here is Charlie Smith. Looked like he got it on the one hop to me, and the Saints are coming down really protesting that. Henry Stram coming down on a very quick walk.
Yeah, very, very brisk for Henry.
Boy, that looked like it came in on the one hop. They got the ball out to Charlie Smith. Charlie says, I'll accept that. I'll take it.
I don't know whether we have a replay of that or not down there, but they may take advantage of it. Jumped over one man, went on down, and we have a penalty flag just called. Could be on Hank Stram.
I was asked to talk about the incredible Black & Decker Workmate. There's almost nothing it can't hold. But the Workmate is so incredible, I'm going to let it do the talking. Workmate from Black & Decker and nobody else. When America has a job to do, it reaches for Black & Decker.
Alcoa can't wait. We must transmit the power to our homes and factories. We've gotta make the highway safe for folks like you and me. Our cars should be lighter for the most from every mile. We must clean up, recycle, and make the whole world smile. We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
There is Hank Stram. We just had an unsportsmanlike conduct call against the New Orleans Saints bench. As with 2 minutes to play, the Saints trail in the game 21-7. And now the Eagles have the ball, 1st and goal at the 5-yard line of New Orleans. The protest was against the throw to Charlie Smith. Looked like it came in on the one hop.
They called a trap on it. I guess we did not see the replay on it, but Coach Stram down there protesting vehemently.
Handoff to Sullivan, lost his footing and got down close to the 3. Bob Pollard fell on him there. Eagles taking all the time in the world now as they wind the clock down. 1:48 and running here in the 4th quarter. Philadelphia leading the Saints 21-7. Eagles led at the half 14-0. Led early in the 4th quarter 21-0. Saints came back, scored on a touchdown pass of Douglas to Childs, but then their future attempts at moving the ball were thwarted. A 3rd interception of New Orleans quarterbacks, a 4th turnover. Actually, there's 5 turnovers in the game for New Orleans. Handoff, Sullivan runs, Saints fight it, don't let them get in. And the clock continues to run. 1:15 left to go. Pat Hughes was on the tackle on the play.
Pedersen, being the big ball carrier this afternoon, is 23 for 72. And, of course, Sullivan right now is 13 for 32 yards. A good afternoon for Pedersen, and Sullivan adding some extra punch when needed. Offensive line doing an outstanding job against the big defensive men of the Saints.
Difficult development for New Orleans as they really felt they could be a contender in the second half of the season following that win over the Rams and being only 2 games behind Atlanta and Los Angeles. Atlanta is seen today as the Eagles go again to the run. They just want to wind the clock down. They're not very interested. Now the Saints call a timeout with 34 seconds left.
Well, that's kind of futile at this point. They just don't want the Philadelphia Eagles to score another touchdown. They'd rather hold him at 21-7 rather than 28-7. But at this point, I don't see what difference it really makes.
Apparently they didn't call a timeout, John. The clock has started up.
They have taken 19 seconds go right now, and if Jaworski probably wants to score, but he would rather, I would think he maybe just going to let the clock run out.
Jaworski rolls out. Touchdown.
Fine call by Jaworski, had everyone fooled.
He's thrown for 2 and run for 2.
He's had an excellent day this afternoon, and everyone is up in arms congratulating Jaworski on an outstanding call. He had everybody fooled in the middle of that line as we see Jaworski coming back out and then diving across the goal line, not wanting to get hit. I don't blame him for that at all. Stewart out there and Ernie Jackson out there, but everyone was all alone. Jaworski just kind of walked right on in, like tiptoeing through the tulips.
That's all. So Ron Jaworski, who's had turnover problems, throwing 15 interceptions, tied for the NFL lead coming into the game, has scored 2 and run for 2, and the Eagles have it locked up at 28-7.
Come on, old trademark. Time for your walk. What's the hurry? I know where we're going. To where your family began. With the same Levi's blue jeans worn by this man. Hey, you've come quite a ways, little registered Mark. Now that I see these guys by the park dressed in your newest edition, sums it up right there. Levi's sportswear. Trademark, I know what you'd say if you could. Levi's don't have to be blue, just have to be good.
5 on the 50-yard line!
Hey, Charlie, it's cold last night. You put in the Prestone antifreeze?
Prestone. Who needs Prestone?
Prestone? You need Prestone.
If your antifreeze is worn out or you don't have enough, you could be in trouble. So put in a fresh fill of Prestone, too, to prevent corrosion and freeze-ups.
Prestone. We need Prestone.
Prestone. You need Prestone.
Now the final play of the game, the ball is picked up by an up-back who laterals the ball off, and Boykin tries to run it ahead. He tries to lateral it. Can you top this as they come down the stretch and the gun sounds? Dick Vermeil on the sideline hugging some of his defensive players who performed so well. As the Philadelphia Eagles have come close week after week after week. And then they win the game 28-7 with a very decided performance here today. Hank Stram was running off the field with the referee Fred Silva protesting to him.
There he's got another one cornered down there, Donald. He did not like that last call on the screen pass out to Charlie Smith. He said the ball bounced. Of course, we did not have a clean-cut look at it from here. But Hank was quite upset about that call, and I'm sure he's going to be upset about his offensive performance this afternoon and really get into it next week. They have a big ball game coming up in New Orleans with the San Francisco 49ers, and again the following one on this following week with Atlanta. And so there you see Dick Vermeil coming across the field, a happy man about the way his performance was for this defensive football team. Philadelphia 28, New Orleans 7.
America, you've been changing.
Coming, going, changing, growing. The things that make up life.
Why is Bank AmeriCard becoming Visa? To keep up with you.
You're traveling, you're moving, you're taking more from life.
Today, you need money that's good around the corner, all across America, and in 117 countries around the world. That's why Bank AmeriCard is becoming Visa, the most widely recognized card in the world. Visa, we're keeping up with you.
Down the Columbia, the Willamette, the Siuslaw, from the great renewable forests, they come. Logs. Logs to build a better America. And Homelight is there. Homelight, the king. Rugged as the men who run it. Men who fell the mighty fir and see it rise again. When the time in your life comes to get a chainsaw, get the king. Homelight, the chainsaw king.
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles combined to have their best all-around performance of the season so far, offensively and defensively. Jaworski threw 13 completions, 157 yards, 1 touchdown. They got a lot of rushing. Betterson ran for 72. Sullivan, Lush, and Jaworski combined for about 75 more. And the Eagles really controlled the game from the outset, John.
They did. They took the game right to the New Orleans Saints. Their offensive line, I think, has to be credited with doing a fantastic job. up front, just annihilating the defensive football team of the Saints, and Jaworski doing an outstanding job. And of course, the Saints' offense certainly was lacking this afternoon. The defense stayed on the football field most of the afternoon, and you cannot really do that to a football team such as New Orleans. You have to have an offense who's going to take some of the pressure off the defensive football team. And I'm sure Hank Stram is going to get into that. There was a few calls back in there that Hank did not like. Was given really a call down on the goal line, which he received a penalty for, and it was a good ball game.
Now let's go to CBS Control in New York.
That later.
Greek, now we have some folks joining us for the conclusion of a pregame show. It is also a postgame show for the Philadelphia-New Orleans network. The final score in that game was 28-7, Philadelphia over the Saints. Let me ask you about the Heisman Trophy. Who's going to win it?
I think Earl Campbell's of Texas University, you know, that state where that lady's from. It's definitely the big favorite.
Monty Clark, Jimmy the Greek. We haven't heard about him lately.
I think you may be hearing of him before the season's over, going with Detroit. Anyway, he's being considered because Ford is having a big problem. In fact, he's even getting the game plans.
Okay. A lot of folks would like an update on the scores. Like I said, this is a pregame show for some and a postgame for others. Oh, let's update everything. 24-10 right now. Fourth quarter, Cowboys roll. Only unbeaten team in the NFL. The final I just reported, 28-7, Philadelphia over New Orleans. San Francisco and Atlanta, this game winding down. The 49ers may win their third in a row. Miami and the New York Jets, a final. Dolphins win it by 4 games. Richard Todd knocked out of the game with a knee injury for the Jets. Cincinnati and Cleveland, time running out. Cincinnati is just now punting. They're clinging to a 3-point lead late in the fourth quarter. The story of the day, Buffalo and New England. Roland Hooks, who replaced O.J. Simpson, had 109 yards in the first half. Time running out on that game, and it looks like a major upset, and Cleveland's going to have lousy field position inside the 5 against Cincinnati. San Diego and Detroit. The NFC wins its first over an AFC team. A final score, Detroit 20 and San Diego nothing. Houston, though, is thumping Chicago. It's been a long play afternoon for the Oilers, 24-0. That game is in the third quarter. Kansas City and Green Bay right now, 10-3, third quarter. Kansas City leads the Green Bay Packers. Down in that San Francisco game, the 49ers now apparently will run out the clock. A minute left. Let's check in on some highlights, Irv. You've got the Philadelphia-New Orleans game.
Okay, people down in Philadelphia, I'm sure are happy to see this. The Eagles, of course, defeated the New Orleans Saints by a score of 28-7, and Ron Jaworski had a field day. Ran for 2 touchdowns, passed for a couple, and here in the second quarter, Jaworski dives over from the 1-yard line. Eagles take a 7-0 lead. Jaworski first and 10 on the 24-yard line. Throws a Herb Lusky, makes a nifty catch, almost intercepted down there, but makes a good catch, and Jaworski this time goes to Harold Carmichael. Harold makes a touchdown grab. Philadelphia 14, New Orleans nothing. Bobby Douglas passing this time deep in his own territory. The ball is picked off by John Deke Sanders, who's picked off his second one of the day and the 4th of the year. 25-yard return brings the ball down to the 6, and Carmichael does it again from Jaworski. The Eagles take a 21-0 lead. They're not finished yet. Jaworski bootlegs around the right side, goes in. Eagles pick up a win and defeat the New Orleans Saints by a score of 28-7.
Irv, down in Atlanta, they've got about 55 seconds left. Time has run out. We can check in and see some of the early action from that game. Here they are. Let's go live right now and check in and see what's going to happen. This is live. Jimmy Plunkett with 59 seconds. The 49ers have won 2 in a row. Wilbur Jackson has scored the first rushing touchdown this year against Atlanta. And you can see that Falcon defense still trying to come on. They have got to force a turnover and get the ball back. Now, this is live, what you're watching right now. Clock running out. The Falcons, no doubt, will try to stop the clock right here, take that 5-yard penalty, and do anything to try and get the ball back. 35 seconds left right now. What a turnaround for Kenny Meyer and the San Francisco 49er staff. They lost their first 5 games. Of course, Atlanta came into this home game hoping to wind up with a wild card berth. And as you can see, those hopes have been spoiled, which means those of you who are getting ready to watch St. Louis and Minnesota have got a big treat, because the Cardinals could jump right back into a playoff spot. Another final to report, Cincinnati beats Cleveland 10-7. That's a final. Time running out. They stopped the clock now. You can see it was San Francisco. They took the penalty so that they, of course, will take the 5 yards and then punt it out. So
For those of you who are watching your game, we certainly will tell you right away what the final score is. But again, it would take a miracle for Atlanta to pull it out with those many seconds left. They'll get down and cover that punt well. For Jimmy the Greek, Irv Cross, and Phyllis George, I'm Brent Musburger. And for those of you who are leaving us, we hope that you had a nice day on CBS. For those of you who are going to watch a game, have a nice afternoon.
The NFL Today is sponsored by Firestone, makers of the new steel-belted Radio 721. Ask a friend about Firestone. Ford and your Ford dealer who invite you to see their better ideas for 78, including Fairmont, the Ford in your future. Mobil One Synthetic Motor Oil, the oil that does it all. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station. Are we turning our kids into sugar junkies? Will Israel's Prime Minister give an inch? And whatever happened to the Air Force's midget flying machine? Watch 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
It is the usual sellout at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, for the matchup between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings. And good afternoon to you. I'm Pat Summerall with Tom Brookshire. I'd hate to be a defensive back today.
I gave both secondaries last rights down there. They're some of the great receivers in football, and I would say about 8 of them are on these two teams. The defense is really going to be tested on each side.
It's going to be some matchup. They're just about ready to go, so let's get at it.
Let's get
Jim Bakken has the ball teed up for the St. Louis Cardinals. Manfred Moore and Sammy White. Back deep for Minnesota. Moore is the guy in the middle, and he's the guy that Bakken would like to avoid if he can.
He's leading the NFL.
Manfred Moore at the 11. With a wedge in front of him, he breaks to the outside and got some Bakken. Oh, what a shot. Steve Jones down on the